Retro, let's get it. We in the chop shop, we live in the chop shop. We talking sports talk, we live in the chop shop. We in the chop shop, I'm talking sports talk. So turn your dials up, it's live in the chop shop. We in the chop shop, we live in the chop shop. We talking sports talk, we live in the chop shop. We in the chop shop, I'm talking sports talk. So turn your dials up, it's live in the chop shop. Yeah, it's lit in the chop shop. Turn your dials up in the drop top. They ain't based to debate, but they keep it fact straight. Going 30 for 30, let's do a first take. On Facebook Live from 12 to 2. Rob Hatter and Jim Hicks going back and forth like Carter Ray, Skip Bayless and Stephen Smith. From on the court, off the court, straight to the field. Not a man that steals, but I made it steal. To the octagon where I fight to kill. We go face to face, then you write your will. I don't play tennis, but I bring the racket. I'm on the flow, I attack the basket. Put you in the casket when I'm overlapping. Never showing mercy, cause I'm always snapping. Never showing mercy when I'm in the arena. Step into the ring, you see me as I beat him. Step into the court, I'm never backing down. Killing competition, I'm smacking down. Let me get back to the other stuff at the chop shop, cause they cutting up. It's retro, coming to you live to the chop shop. Now let's turn it up. Yeah, we in the chop shop, man. Shout out to Jim Hicks and Rob Hatter. You can catch the chop shop live from 12 to 2 on Facebook Live. Let's get it. We in the chop shop, we live in the chop shop. We talking sports talk, we live in the chop shop. We in the chop shop, I'm talking sports talk. So turn your dials up, it's live in the chop shop. We in the chop shop, we live in the chop shop. We talking sports talk, we live in the chop shop. We in the chop shop, I'm talking sports talk. So turn your dials up, it's live in the chop shop.
H-Town, what's up? You know what time it is. It's time for the best 120 minutes of your day. The Chop Shop, the nation's #1 urban sports talk show, and also your midday sports happy hour. Yours truly, Robert Hatter, alongside Jim Hicks, coming to you live from Houston, Texas. But we're broadcasting all over this big old world via Facebook Live and YouTube Live. So get your people, let do me a favor right now. Let's like and share the show on both platforms. If you're not on YouTube, if you have not subscribed to it, you can stay on Facebook, but go over and subscribe to YouTube today. Let's get this, Jimmy, let's get this thing cracking today. 5 years ago, Jimmy, our world was shattered. Today, we remember those who were killed at Mother Emanuel Church. Clementa Pinckney was the pastor, Cynthia Moore, Graham Hurd, Susie Jackson, Ethel Lee Lance, Defane Middleton, Dr. Tawanza Sanders, Daniel Simmons, Sharonda Coleman Singleton, and Myra Thompson. Those were the people who Dylann Roof walked in and prayed with and had a little Bible study with and got up and killed that Mother Emanuel, Jimmy. And what's so unique about that church? Jimmy, my son played at the University of Charleston. They played in this classic called the Charleston Classic. And that's in South Carolina. So, Jimmy, the hotel we were in was walking distance. I mean, literally walking distance. The hotel I stayed in to Mother Emanuel Church. As a matter of fact, I passed by it 4 or 5 times, tried driving and going up and down the street. And I didn't realize, Jimmy, I was walking around that place, the campus of Charleston, and hanging out a little bit with no care in the world. I wasn't even thinking about something like that would happen. Every time I think about this, that's why I had to bring it up in the beginning of the show. But I just wanted to bring it up. But guess what? It's Women Rock Wednesday. Congratulations to every woman in the world, especially my Nubian queens. And guess what? Anissa Ville, Mindy Collins, Sonia Billingsley, Tywanda Holmes, and Cynthia Guillory. They are the starting 5 today. They are the first 5 women that signed up on the Chop Shop this morning. Thank you, ladies. Thank you. It's your day. Women take over the day. Jimmy, the NBA, They got the Disney Magic Band they got to put on. I'm just throwing it out there. They got social distancing they got to do, Jimmy. We can't play doubles in ping pong. We got to play single. And then, Jimmy, they got a hotline to report potential violations. And everybody talking about they hope, what's the boy name? What's the boy name? D'Angelo Russell is not on this trip. They glad D'Angelo Russell is not on this trip. And they said Chris Paul is going to be the first one that picks up the phone and snitch on everybody in the hotline. I know you got some stuff to talk about that. I just want to share that with you and get that out the way. But it's the NBA. In 7 days, Jimmy, they the people who don't want to be in the bubble or have medical reasons they don't want to be, or they have, they got 7 days to submit those names to those guys. So it's gonna be good. I'm excited about it. I'm excited about it because I heard some more stuff today, but I'm excited about it. What you got going on, man?
Well, the NBA 1 week away. They have to inform their teams if they plan not to attend, and that's the NBA. I mean, this thing, I understand, so now you see more and more Kyrie Irving, Avery Bradley. These two NBA guards are, I guess, the nucleus of the momentum which is surging from the players who really would rather not play, as opposed to take a stance against the league. And so they're, on yesterday, how do you mention, about maybe they, specified their demands. And I think that's what they're in the process of doing. And they've done a couple, but they're specifying in detail and fine tuning it as each day goes. Because what I'm hearing is that when people see you attempting to fight for yourself, then your odds increase of somebody coming to help. Meaning, just understand what I'm saying. And there are a lot of people that are rejoicing and really just in helping and assisting from legal aspects. Of course, they have a union, and Kyrie Irving is one of the 5 or 6 vice presidents in the Players Association, which is the union of the NBA. Chris Paul is the president. So obviously, now mind you, there's not one vice president. There are multiple in the Players Association. And Avery Bradley is a teammate of LeBron. Dwight Howard is a teammate of LeBron. These are 2 guys that are part of the rotation for the Lakers. And, and they're in a situation where they're opposites. Not understand what you don't see. LeBron James, I haven't seen publicly him rallying the troops together saying, man, forget them dudes. So this is not LeBron versus them.
Didn't you just tell me yesterday everybody don't? See, sometimes, Jimmy.
I said publicly.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But he don't have to do it publicly. Believe you me, let me tell you something. He is making moves behind the scenes right now.
That's exactly my point that I was saying from yesterday.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't make their moves on social media as though many of you guys may wish and hope that they do. That's how they say. Some business stay in the back room.
Let me help you out with Kyrie Irving. Because I don't understand what they're doing in a lot of measures. Because when I see tweets and that's why I never go off. We haven't even talked about this subject until I got more. I didn't feel comfortable talking about this subject until I got more information. But I'm looking right here now, and this what the players of coalition. With Kyrie and Avery Bradley were talking about, and this what I agree with: improve hiring practice for Black front office and head coaches candidates, making it so the league management ranks better reflect its composition of the players. donations to organizations serving Black communities, and partnership with Black-owned business and arena venues. And the reason I am so gung-ho about this, on this show, I came on this show and talked about the hiring practice of several. When the Super Bowl was coming, I talked about the 49ers versus the Ravens. I mean, when the playoffs was coming. And then I looked downtown at our very own Houston Rockets. And do me a favor, if you're by your computer, just go and look at the Houston Rockets makeup at the executive level. I'm not talking about the workers. I'm talking about at the executive level, on the executive floor. It does not reflect the makeup of the team that they have out on the floor. And I'm just not calling out the Houston Rockets. This is a team that's in our city. So I just, let me tell you something. I support that resolution, if that's what you're talking about. Because, see, they said something vague until Dwight Howard said, until this social justice is done, we should be playing basketball. Dude, we've been fighting this stuff for 400 years. Martin Luther King, we've been fighting for the last 50 years for it. So if you want to wait 50 more years to play basketball, okay. See, that's how I took it in the beginning. And now these guys just, see, Jimmy, these actionable items right here can be solved quickly. I'm looking at Troy Weaver has been pushed in the front of the line with the Denver job. Troy Weaver, GM at Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City did not want to let him go. But he has been pushed up. Jimmy, the Detroit Pistons are interviewing 3 people for the job. All 3 of those brothers are Black. Every last one. I'm going to get their names in a minute. It's in my notes. All 3 of those guys are Black that the Detroit Pistons are trying to hire right now. So it's just, I think it's awesome. I think I'm glad. I'm glad these guys sticking up for something and using their power and using their platform.
And looking, somebody just sent a text about another hanging that transpired in Houston yesterday. We'll get to that shortly, but we're talking NBA talk right now, and which side of the fence are some of you guys on out there in the Boom Boom Room? And I see you guys in the YouTube page. I see Slick Rick, Lil Rick, Rodney Wells. I see Daryl Barnes over there. Herb Baker's over on the YouTube today. Martin Vaughn, Jeremy Davis. I see you guys over there, just to name a few.
Yeah.
And of course, all the ladies are over in the Facebook feed.
Oh my God. Yeah, they ladies full of
on the crop of ladies in there, and they're regulating. Cynthia Guillory, I see you in there doing it. Keep on pushing, girl. And want to remind you guys, I asked you what side of the fence are you on, or do you just need more intel? To me, it's relatively simple. For me, is that I have no problem with these NBA players if they don't want to play. I really don't. Remember, the selfish bone inside of me, and there's plenty of them, want to see some NBA basketball, because sometimes, I feel like I've watched way more than than my fair share of
Jimmy, it'll be basketball. So you can set that up. They're going to play basketball.
I don't give a damn if they dribble and carry every possession. I want to see those dudes in uniform play some hoops. I don't care how good the product is.
I said they're going to play. What are you talking about? I said they're going to play. I
say the selfish bone in me want to see all of the teams, because no matter what, the more people that don't, it's going to be more of a fragmented asterisk style season. But we up against the break now.
Let's take a quick one. Let's take a quick break, and we'll come right back and finish this conversation. I like this. Just something for basketball. All your high school basketball or summer basketball fans got something for you.
Hello, basketball community. This is Brian Jolivet with Above All Sports Hoops. I'd like to welcome all of you to the Houston National Summer Showcase, July 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Please visit our website at www.aboveallsports.com and register today. Attending the event will be Doug Jones with RCS Sports and Ball So Hard as our scouting agencies. We have processes in place to support social distancing and protect the athletes. Should you have any questions, feel free to give me a call, 281-414-8103. Thank you.
Sometimes I dream that he is me.
Jimmy, I got one more commercial. We got one more quick break we're going to go to before we get there. And I'll just play. Let's go here.
Peacefully. Freedom is never safeguarded peacefully. Anyone who is depriving you of freedom isn't deserving of a peaceful approach by the ones who are being deprived of their freedom. And when black people in this country come out from under the mental straitjacket that the Negro clergymen have placed them in, and begin to see that the only way you can get freedom is to get it the same way the white man in this country got it from England, or he says he got it from England. He was willing to pay the price for freedom. When you're willing to pay the price for freedom, then you get it. But the Negro in this country has never been willing to pay the price for his freedom. All of the price that we have been paying in the past has been freedom for the white man. We fought abroad so that the white man in America could be free today to sick police dogs on us, to beat our people in the heads with police clubs, and to turn water hose on little women and children and babies simply because they want to walk down the street like decent human beings. That's now the only way you can have peace is to eliminate those injustices, and the American white man is not going to eliminate them. He's going to talk that pretty talk, but he'll still continue to practice those inhuman deeds.
Welcome back to the best 120 minutes of your day. The Chop Shop, the nation's #1 urban sports talk show, and also your midday sports happy hour. Yours truly, Robert Hatter, alongside Jim, the legend, the cheat sheet Hicks in the building. Jimmy, what we talking about? Did you want to still go there? You want to talk about the NBA?
We'll talk about the NBA situation, and which, if you missed the top of the show, there's been details released in the past 24 hours about the plans for the NBA players up on their arrival to Orlando. And meanwhile, there's an undercurrent of players creating a movement to exercise their right to not participate or not even go at all. Kyrie Irving is the fake.
He can't go no way, Jimmy.
But yeah, he was
not
not
going nowhere.
to come anyway because he was out for the year, and they limited the personnel for each team, not just them, not just the New Jersey Nets. So my thing was, okay, but then it goes and transfers over because Avery Bradley now is equally vocal. Kyrie has been known to just kind of whisper and let somebody speak for him, but Avery Bradley, is sticking his chest out on this thing. And we don't.
He's a very quiet guy, Jimmy. Very quiet guy.
Yeah,
but
I understand. But he's always been a smart dude too. Now I understand. Avery Bradley wasn't one of those guys that that blew his lips. He was always been a smart guy. But Dwight, and I'm glad that I'm saying for the sake of, and when I ask you guys, how do you feel about this momentum that's going? Trust me, these are not the only guys, and it seems like it's being portrayed by some people in the media like it's Kyrie and it's Avery Bradley and Dwight Howard. Dude, it's way more than that.
But Jimmy, what's so unique? He made a statement. He said the act of sitting out. That's why you have to understand the whole context. That's why I've read several different takes and heard him talk. He said the act of sitting out doesn't directly fight systemic racism. He said, but it does highlight the reality that without black athletes, the NBA wouldn't be what it is today. The league has a responsibility to our communities and to help empower us, just as we have helped them empower their brand. That's the most profound statement. But you know what, Jimmy? It's funny. It's just funny. And I have to go here because this is the world I live in. These guys talking now. But these guys, Dwight Howard, and these guys had white agents that they empowered. Are they going to take that power back from the agents that they empowered? Chris Paul and all of them guys, they empowered. You're talking about the owner, but you don't have no choice of who your owner is, Jimmy. I'm going to repeat that, Jimmy. You don't have the choice of who your owner is, but you have the choice of who your agent is. Explain. But now they have an epiphany. Now, what I like to improve the hiring practice, because I even came on this show and said, I wonder why the players hadn't spoke out about the black coaches not getting jobs. Why the players hadn't spoke out about Eric Bieniemy not getting a job. I've always said that. So I'm seeing progress, but I happen to know the climate of this situation a lot, more than a lot of people know. But I'm just saying, where were you? And I understand as the facts change, the truth change. But Avery Bradley, Chris Paul, Dwight Howard, y'all all had white guys representing y'all. Go take the power back from them too. Since you want to take it back from the NBA. That's all I'm saying. You know, now Jimmy, you can comment on that. That's all I'm saying. Just take it back. That's when I told you, I never forget. You came on this show, you and Chris, y'all were championing for the college coaches. College coaches need better jobs. College coaches. And I said, hold on. These same college coaches got white guys representing them. These same college coaches be sending.
Understand something, Adam.
No. Just let me finish. These same college coaches be sending their players to white agents, but now they want the community to be behind them. Now you can tell me.
Understand something.
Mm-hmm.
Different people that come from different parts of the country that have different beliefs, where they come in different ways that they were brought up. Just because just because some people may have woke up on May the 26th or whenever it was, that doesn't mean that understand. Everybody wake up on different days. When I was gone and on vacation, I fought the power like none other. I've been through riots. Ain't no worse riot than a penitentiary riot. This stuff you see on the street, that's fine and dandy. I say it again, ain't nothing more volatile and fierce than a penitentiary riot. So I fought this power with the Muslims. I fought this power with the 5%ers. I've been there. So what I'm saying is now other people just may have woke up. I'd have come home. And many guys, you know, everybody got a kinfolk that come home and they try to sell you on that.
So what you're trying to say, Jimmy, is these guys just woke up. That's what you're saying.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Didn't I say
when they got the white, guess what? They may be consciously aware.
Excuse me.
Now that some have woken up.
You act like I did. I'm not bashing them. You trying to defend guys that you don't even know. I'm telling you.
No, I'm defending the concept of people being woke versus sleep. And that's all.
No, but what I was trying to say is, I am glad they're woke. Jimmy, I just read their statements. I didn't hide their statements. I just read them. Did you hear me read them? Because sometimes you don't hear me. Did you hear me read their statements?
The statement that's representing this movement.
No,
now,
this was Avery Bradley said. Avery Bradley. These quotes. He said, I want to see improved hiring practice for black front office and head coaches candidates.
Mm-hmm.
Making it so league management ranks better reflect the composition of the players. Donations to organization. Jimmy, I stated that. You probably was typing. I got it. And then I came back and said, this quotes in quotes now, because you love these writers in quotes. The actual act of sitting doesn't directly fight systemic racism. But it does highlight the reality that without black athletes, the NBA wouldn't be where it is today. The league is responsible to our communities and helping us empower. And all I said, which you so blatantly oppositioned me, all I said was, he said, just as we made the NBA brand strong. And I'm saying, use those same concept in your personal life. That's all I said.
Everybody's understand it's sacrifice. The undercurrent, what is John Doe willing to sacrifice? Everybody is not willing to sacrifice the same thing, and they're not. Some people willing to sacrifice basketball. Some people not willing to sacrifice basketball. Some people rather sacrifice some money. Some people rather sacrifice or not being able to go in certain restaurants anymore. Some people really will be willing to sacrifice not having the same agent that they had and consider an agent of their own color. That's different people.
That's not what I'm talking about. That's not the issue I'm talking about. I'm just saying I understand their wokeness now. And guess what? They might have been asleep. I am applauding them being woke. But I'm just saying, because Jimmy, to me, I look at a man's history. To know a man, I just look at his history. I've said, I go back to school and I watch the guys that made A's in school. And then I look at their life now, they're making A's in life. Then I go back and watch the guys who just played around and made F's in school. And I look at their life. They making F's in life. So I know a man, I look at his history, not his story, not the story he's telling me. I'm watching the things that he's done. Avery Bradley, all of those guys. And when I looked at their history, I'm so glad they woke. That's why I mention it. Listen, I'm smart enough to know if I was trying to discredit those guys, I wouldn't talk about what they said.
We're not talking about discrediting them. How are you beating the same nail on the head? We're talking about we down the road.
No, but that's how you feel. You tried to bring the parallel to you being in the prison and all that kind of stuff.
Parallel. This is something that's deeper than that. Ain't got nothing to do with Avery Bradley and them. Anybody out there that's trying to if you're trying to make a change, you're gonna have to sacrifice something. If your ass want to lose weight, you're gonna stop eating potato chips.
What is Avery Bradley about to sacrifice?
He's willing to sacrifice the game of basketball and his money. He's willing to sacrifice that. His livelihood.
We'll see. We'll see. In 7 days, we'll see.
He's willing to sacrifice. That's what I'm saying.
Remember what you told me the other day? A commitment or a pledge is not the same thing as putting the cash down. He making pledges right now. Let's see him cash it in 7 days.
Well, guess what? He can very well decide that, okay, I voice my vote. My vote is not to play. If I get outvoted by the rest of the guys, including my team, then guess what? I go on and take one.
Jimmy, he's been outvoted already. Jimmy, Jimmy, I got a question. Okay, let me help you out. Like I told you, I got information. Jimmy, the Players Association, they've been on conference calls. They've been on Zoom calls. They've been all this time. Guess who didn't ever get on no call? Kyrie Irving.
He was on another call.
With the guys who made the vote for them the Players Association got on the vote.
So June the 24th, the date of June the 24th, Adam Silver just made a statement yesterday. And what would make I'm gonna read you what Adam Silver says. And when I read this,
okay, we got a minute and 30 seconds.
He say Adam Silver says if they choose to make a choice not to play in the NBA, and think they can do more dealing directly with social issues, I respect that. It's Adam Silver yesterday. So for him to make that statement means that it must be some people out there that's serious enough to move the needle. not going to crash the Orlando. They're going to have a season. They've already voted on that. They need to know who's in and who's out. That means some guys still are not going to go that's even on their teams, on the 22 teams. There's going to be guys that will not go.
Okay.
Now, we're going to wait and see who.
Let's see how many. Hold up. They done made the pledge. They done made the commitment. Let's see do they cash it in. We got 30. You got 38 seconds. You got some more. It's going to be very interesting to me. I'm not worried about them. I'm not worried about them boycotting or whatever they're doing. I'm worried about this. I'm trying to see is the NBA Adam Silver is going to adhere to these demands. Make your demands. That's why I tell America now, make your demands. We got America listening now. Make your demands, ladies and gentlemen. That's all I got to say. But Chop Shop, let me find us a commercial. And Jimmy, we will be back in a minute. Let me find us something.
Honor of 19 years together on our show. We went back to the old archives and we dug up a little piece we did years ago, our favorite gymisms. You ready?
Let me take my brim off for this one and go way back.
It's like a free space in bingo. Check it out.
Friday, mark your calendar. Down in Parker, it's gonna be jumping off the hinges. That's like a free space in bingo. With Westfield, they whooping everybody. Couldn't he be the Batman? He's been the Robin forever. Elkins had that rematch with Marshall. Pencil in, probably to knock the hole in the paper. They put pencil in so much. The chicken tenders was great as well. I'm always gonna test the food out. The north side gonna be rocking, baby. 59 gonna be blocked up all the way back to downtown. Coach Gilbert Good is the Muhammad Ali of all of the high school coaches in the area. He tells you who he wants and he tells you what he's gonna do. Basically, pitch what around, he's gonna knock him out. And you got Gary on the court, all you gotta do is you can put four L's on the court with him. He'll turn into Santa Claus. But so that'd be too easy. That's like a free space in bingo. Remember last year I rode with Lamar. And I'm still in the car with him. I'm just not fighting the front seat with Lamar. Yeah, it's kind of like watching a good fight, and in the first punch, you get hit right on the nose, right in the butt. Kind of like alfalfa. They're a favorite. They're like, that's like a free space in bingo. This team is loaded. I'm talking about like a deck of cards with the 8, 9, 10 in it. But inside the middle, they got Antoine Bootle. That's the kid they talking about. Bootle rocking everywhere. That's what they say. One of those songs, Todd. I got to get to hear for that song. I did it. The youngsters know all about it. Kingwood is the free space in bingo this year. Kingwood has so many body blows. I'm talking about this. Oh man, you just can't take it. Oh man, there's nothing but net. It's Oscar time. Maybe we get an award with this one, huh? We're gonna get an award. They're gonna give us an award, Tom.
All right, you might get the award for best guest. Congratulations.
All right, I'll take it, man. I'll take it. It's like a free space in bingo.
Welcome back to the Chop Shop, your midday sports happy hour, the best 120 minutes of your day. Moving right along on Kiss on this Women Rock Wednesday. Shout out to all the ladies out there. And want to give speaking of Women Rock Wednesday, give a shout out to Mansa L.
Yes, what do you do?
Mansa L is a high school coach, one of the few women that are coaching boys high school basketball in the greater Houston area. She's very popular has emerged to be very popular, and her contributions and volunteer work with the FAM Elite grassroots program as well. Mansa was at Cypress Springs High School, that's Cypress Springs High School, and for the past couple of years. Well, guess what? She's been in high demand now, and she was a finalist for a head varsity boys job last year. Mansa has been recruited and lured away from Cypress Springs and will start the next leg of her career at Clear Falls High School, clean on the other side of town. Shout out to Mansa L on your success in this job.
I'm so proud of her, Jimmy.
Absolutely, man. If you ever saw her, she's been getting it in with those young men. They respond her very well.
Jimmy, you just talked about her last week when St. Pay was on here. You just talked about her.
She was going through the interviews, obviously. Now she's an assistant coach at Clear Falls. She's not the head coach.
Okay.
But she's the first assistant.
Okay.
So
So it's such things as a first assistant in high school?
that's the one that normally your first assistant. Yeah, I guess nowadays it is
Okay.
because you can look and see either the one that's sitting next to the coach, and it used to be first assistants would be the guy that's coaching the JV team, but not so much as a lot of schools don't have like that. They have some guys that don't even have to coach the JV. That's an assistant to the head coach, but I mean, that's great, man. I feel really, really good about that. And also give a shout out to all the young men out there in Texas who've been receiving phone calls, text messages from the college coaches. Remember 2 days ago, they were permitted to contact the young men, and because it makes their day. And you realize being caught up in the house, and some people really don't know how good they are, or if people are going to respond to them because they hadn't played any live events. This is some of the reward. Now, at the same time, there are plenty of people out there who've been probably hyping up various kids in every corner of the state, not necessarily the state, but the corner of the country. Now, you as a kid or as a parent have no idea how much hype has been placed on your son or daughter. The thing is, the NCAA just announced on yesterday that they plan to have a live period in August. So once again,
I saw that.
The NCAA, and as I hinted to you guys, remember a week and a half ago, we leaked it out on the Chop Shop that we had got, the intel. We didn't know the specific, but it was voted on from the coaches coalition, and it had to go to the NCAA desk for the main approval. And it is expected to pass, which will give 2 live periods for scholastic events, 2 live periods for non-scholastic events. Also, fall leagues will be permissible for NCAA Division I coaches to attend. Open gyms will be permissible for NCAA Division I coaches to attend. So, and that's a good thing, because many times, a lot of these young people, you don't see them play open gym, unless they play at their own school.
And the coaches don't. Yeah.
You see?
Yeah. That's
so
good.
now there's no excuse. This may be a reason to help promote the re-emergence of the old school open gym. I've seen some here and there, but not on a consistent level, like a consistent run. You guys know what I'm talking about. Back in all you old heads, when you played, if you're from Houston, you grew up, you played at the YMCA in South Central, right in 3rd Ward, or you played at Love Gym, or you played I'm talking about this inside at the Fundy Recreation Center. You played at Moody Park. You played at Pal Gym if you was from Pasadena. These are indoor places where people regularly frequent.
Second Baptist, Tallerwood Church. I'm just helping you, Coach. You ain't no hooper. Second Baptist, Tallerwood Church. Dude, you had to be a dude to come in there and play. Oh, my goodness. That's before y'all time. That's for these youngsters' time. But, Jimmy, we got a special guest that's waiting. He in the dressing room getting his makeup on. So I'm going to let you introduce our guest.
Well, definitely. We got a special guest on Women Rock Wednesday, and coming with us is a guy that needs hardly no introduction. And you guys know him. You know him with hair. You know him without hair. He's a living legend in Houston. I'm talking about hailed from Baytown, right outside of Houston, and end up going through the rigors and finishing his high school career at Willow Ridge High School with a pair of state championships. That Willow Ridge team helped put the fire up under Houston, Texas. Don't get it twisted. There were people that went to the NBA long before our next guest. But I'm talking about remember, going into the millennium, there were fears abroad about Y2K. So a lot of people, computers were going to crash. The banks, everybody had fears planted everywhere. Now, this team came through in that 1999-2000 season, right? And they gave people joy. They were kicking ass, taking names. Went over to Delaware, won the slam dunk to the beach. That was the premier holiday basketball tournament in the United States during that time. It went under. But that's a whole nother story what happened with that guy, because some people got indicted and all type of stuff. But seriously. But Willow Ridge went there, then went back, kicked butt again. And from then on proceeded to go and get to the state championship, and the rest is history. Then he goes to University of Texas. And during that time, it was a movement going on, and whereas Allen Iverson, had rebelled a little bit and started the culture of wearing the braids, and the cornrows started. So Latrell Sprewell back in the day. So a lot of these guys are wearing braids, and so that was the thing for those who, for a lot of the young people. Got there to University of Texas and had the braids going on, and then all of a sudden later on chopped them off and was an All-American. Led the team to the Final Four in Atlanta. I think that's where it was that year, because I remember being there. It was Atlanta or New Orleans, one of them cities. I was right there with them. But went to the NBA. Injuries prevented what could have been a remarkable historic career right alongside of something that like a Penny Hardaway. This guy was the guy that many had said it was no way. Injury was the only thing that could have prevented him from making it. And of course, he's made it. Just didn't make it as far as you wanted him to go, as far as NBA statistics and legacy go. But he's made it. Because and by far, you cannot tell the story of Houston basketball. You can't tell the story of University of Texas basketball.
And the state of Texas basketball.
What'd you say?
And the state of Texas basketball.
And the state of Texas, without mentioning Terrence, Gerard, Ford. TJ Ford is what you guys call him.
What's up? What's going on, man? Appreciate everything you guys are doing. This is a good platform for a lot of people in the community that tune in to you guys every day. You guys are doing an excellent job, educating our community, whether it's about high school basketball, whether it's about college basketball, and more importantly, you guys are also touching on a lot of social issues that's going on throughout the world, throughout this y'all show, and it hasn't just started recently. Y'all been doing it for some years, so I appreciate y'all letting me come on the show, joining the show, and get that feedback, and appreciate all the memories that you just allowed me to share. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a story that a lot of people don't know all the details to it. I don't think everybody really knows my mindset of what I experienced as a high school athlete, going into college and just making decisions and getting to the pros. And those are some things that I'm working on to be able to try to open up a little bit more, to share those stories and hopefully put some books and put a documentary in action, so people can see, the real things that I really went through behind closed doors.
It's awesome.
So what's the timeline for this book?
Man, see, one of the things about me is trying to be an entrepreneur. I think that's been my biggest thing, since I retired and even been in the NBA. I think entrepreneurship has always kind of been around me within my family. Now, entrepreneurship just came in different forms and different facets of the way that we had to do it, whether, I had uncles or parents washing cars to make a side hustle or cutting grass, any of those things. And now my entrepreneurship is just being able to say, how can I take this information, these stories, and what's the best way for me to be able to control that content and be able to push it out from an entrepreneur standpoint. Those are things that I'm still learning. So, I got a lot of good, valuable people around me. It's just a matter of taking my time and just trying to find the right person that can help me tell the story, but also how to distribute that information and go the right way to do it. The difference between having majority of the ownership and also the other way around, where you could possibly go to ESPN and do a 30 for 30 and just take the fee and go about your business. But that's not kind of the road that I prefer to take.
It's good.
And now, so, man, normally you make me change my stuff up. My plan was to have my book come out. That's gonna be my retirement. So you're in good shape. as far as the retirement, you're making your business move. And so that, speaking of this, how important is it to, and give us a tip from one of the things that you did to help preserve your money?
Man, the first thing is just what I believe in. I believe in, and I've been in the presence of both of you all. The way I operate is you got to teach me something. So if I'm going to break some bread with you and I'm going to do business with you, I'm expecting you to teach me the things that I don't know. So it comes down to me doing business with anybody. It's not that I know it all. It's not that I may know a tad bit of that information, but I'm doing a business deal with you because you're there to help me and teach me as I go through this process. So anybody that's not willing to kind of teach me or share information as we're spending money together, then I will always end up going a different direction. So from a financial standpoint, I hired some people. Now, I had a big financial firm that I was with to start off as an MBA career. And one of the things they do when we get in the room, when you get with your agent, most of the time your agents do not get involved with your financial part of trying to handle your money. They like to try to keep those entities different. Some people, they do it both, but 9 times out of 10, you're told to keep it separate. The way I first picked my financial advisor is, I was in California. I was signed to Orentellum. They brought 3 different financial firms in the room with me and my parents. Obviously we had no clue what nobody was talking about, honestly. I just went with the relationship that I felt was best. And at that time, I chose a Black guy to handle my finances out of everybody because I felt like he could understand my mission and what I was trying to accomplish with my family and the things that I needed to do to help my family put us in a better situation. But over a period of time, going to the University of Texas, meeting different people, meeting different students. There was one guy in particular by the name of Adam Gracie that was a ball manager, equipment manager for us. And we spent pretty much every day together.
Yeah, little Adam.
Adam. So Adam, throughout my time being in the NBA, we still was in contact. We still was talking. His family was started handling Rick Barnes' finances. And Coach Barnes just called me one day and said, I think you need to consider this family, and I think you need to go with this family because I decided to do something, switch my finances to him, and they have been very, very great. And he's one person that no matter what he tells me to do, I always listen to his advice. And in the midst of that, they just started teaching me, right? I was with a UBS financial company. They told me they wasn't charging me a percentage on my money. And then as they started educating me, they was like, nah, they charging you something now. You trust me. I'm like, no fees, no nothing. And basically they just broke it down to me how, not that they was taking advantage of me. I'm just going to say that their business structure made sense for them more than it made sense for myself. As I say that, meaning that I had a bank card. I had a limit. When I first got in the NBA, my limit was to spend $5,000 a month, do whatever I want to do with it. Well, I also went into a dealership knowing that I got a $5,000 spending limit. And I went and bought an Escalade, me and my brother. Well, the thing is, the Escalade at that time was $50,000. Well, I just take that same card that I supposed to have $5,000 in it. My money would come from my big account, and it would automatically pay for it. So at that time, it was hard for me to keep up what I was spending. So sometimes I'm looking up, and when I get my monthly bill, it may be $100,000. It may be $75,000. I'm like, how? I don't see it. Well, I bought a car. I bought some clothes, I bought jewelry, and it just started adding up. And then it just made me feel like the power of just being able to know that I got a spending limit. And no matter what, I know I got in my account, it'll roll over. And I just started explaining my structure, man. And I just seen that I wasn't saving the type of money. And I knew that from a discipline standpoint, that wasn't going to be my success. And like I said, I got with Rick Barnes. I started talking to the Gracie families that I already knew and that was really, really close to. And they just started breaking it down for me. And they just told me that they'll make sure that I'm set for the rest of my life. I will never have to work a day again. And they still teach me to this day. So everything that I'm trying to implement and give back to people, I'm getting it from a higher source that is wealthy. And I'm just trying to, share my knowledge with people. which is challenging. But I got a passion to still try to get it across to people.
Well, TJ, hold that one. That's great. Hold that. We got to take a quick break. That was awesome. We're going to take a quick break, and we are going to come back short.
Time you live in a society supposedly based upon law, and it doesn't enforce its own law because the color of a man's skin happens to be wrong, then I say those people are justified to resort to any means necessary to bring about justice where the government can't give them justice. But when a black man strikes back, he's an extremist. He's supposed to sit passively and have no feelings, be nonviolent, and love his enemy. No matter what kind of attack, be it verbal or otherwise, he's supposed to take it. But if he stands up and in any way tries to defend himself, then he's an extremist.
I will never say that progress is being made. If you stick a knife in my back 9 inches and pull it out 6 inches, there's no progress. If you pull it all the way out, that's not progress. The progress is healing the wound that's the blow made. And they haven't even begun to pull a knife out, much less try and heal the wound. They won't even admit the knife is there.
Sir, that there will come a time when black people wake up and become intellectually independent enough to think for themselves, as other humans are intellectually independent enough to think for themselves. Then the black man will think like a black man, and he will feel for other black people. And this new thinking and feeling will cause black people to stick together. And then at that point, you'll have a situation where when you attack one black man, you are attacking all black men. And this type of black thinking will cause all black people to stick together. And this type of thinking also will bring an end to the brutality inflicted upon black people by white people. And it is the only thing that will bring an end to it. No federal court, state court, or city court will bring an end to it. It's something that the black man has to bring an end to himself.
Jimmy.
Welcome back to the Chop Shop, your midday sports happy hour, the best 120 minutes of your day. Boy, the Chop Shop. Make sure if you're on the YouTube feed right now, we're streaming simultaneously, YouTube and Facebook. Shout out to all you guys over there in YouTube land. Give us a thumbs up, if you will, on that page. I just did it myself. If you're on Facebook, feel free to share the show to your timelines, to your hoop groups, to your friends at this time. It's simple. Just share the show. Great conversation with our guests right now on this Women Rock Wednesday. We have TJ Ford with us, and he's last segment, he went through and broke down pros and professional athletes and finances from his encounter coming through the rigors. That is very important. And TJ, before we extend this conversation about this, why is it so taboo, and why do so many athletes have problems getting control of their spending and of their finances?
I mean, you got to look at the environments we come from. We're not coming from wealth. It's hard to understand wealth. It's hard to understand how to handle money. A lot of people can't handle money. So if you're a guy that likes to spend, if I gave you $1 million, you're going to spend it in 24 hours. So if you don't know how to save and have some discipline within yourself, it doesn't matter the amount of money that you may or may not get. I think when you look at it from a standpoint, when you're young, can you imagine if, I was 20 years old and I became a multi-millionaire like overnight. So it's a matter of, man, I had a $10 million contract right out the gate, and I had a shoe deal with Adidas. So what do you do with all that money? I think we're so far behind just with your family and the way things go. You got your mom, you got dads, you got brothers and sisters, you got aunts, you got a lot of people that you can impact with that money. And a lot of people try to get to it really, really fast. A lot of things that I did was I knew my ultimate goal starting in high school and especially in college is getting into the NBA. I started shaping my mindset and my plan while I was in college. So I didn't really just, got to the NBA and created this mindset. This mindset was already established before I even got a dollar by making it to the NBA. I say that to say it's just a lot we have to do right away, man. It's just too much. And it becomes a lot, and you don't really have no examples. I didn't have well, yes, I did. When I got a mentor. So when I got to the NBA, it's two people I talk about all the time: Sam Cassell, Damon Stoudemire. Both of those guys have been on this show. The day I got drafted, me and Sam, I was supposed to be his backup, but as I'm getting drafted, I'm getting ready to go in the back to do the conference stuff with the media, and that's when I found out that, Sam was traded to Minnesota and GP wasn't coming back. And I remember on my way, before I was getting ready to do that, Sam called my phone right away because I started working out with him, and that's how I ended up really getting over there to really Lucas him and playing over there at Westside with them. And I just remember what Sam told me, man. He gave me his best friend number, Eric Sports, and told me when I got to Milwaukee, they don't get me straight and get me taken care of with the right people. They told me who to trust, who not to trust. And the one thing he told me was, make $50 million. If you can get $50 million, the same thing with $50 million, you can do with $100 million. And if you play in the NBA, the goal at the minimum is to make $50 million. So that's what stuck in my head. My goal was to make 50. I didn't get to 50. I came close. But those are things that I heard right away before I even stepped on the NBA court that resonated with me. Then you have a Damon Stoudemire, somebody who was a max player. He made way more money than a Sam Cassell. He didn't give me the knowledge of that part. The knowledge he gave me of training with him and taking me to lunch after workouts was how to be able to manage all the things that you have to deal with once you got that kind of money. So he was telling me about investing in deals that went wrong. He didn't really hold back and not tell me about his failures and not tell me about his mistakes of things that he was doing with this money. So I had two different people. One was saying keep it. The other one was investing, taking some chances. And it allowed me to kind of always be in the middle and always be able to be kind of smart with my decision making and not rush the gun. I didn't talk to you plenty of times, and you will know. I talk to somebody for 6 years before we do business because that's how people do me. And for me, time. When I'm around these billionaire guys that are impacting things, am I investing with these people? No, I'm not investing with these people. Could I invest with them? I'm pretty sure I can. Will I be able to invest in something that's already making money for them? No. It's always going to probably be something new or a new invention that they may see fit. But it's not the investment part that worries me. It's about how I'm trying to live, right? I have a certain way that I want to live for another 50 years. And nothing is more important than that for me. So I don't do anything that jeopardizes the structure of how I want to live. So like I said, I'm around some very, very successful people. And I think the biggest thing is just because they're successful don't mean that when I give them some money, it's going to work. Now, I have lost investments. I have done some things that I didn't make money on, right? So I haven't done a lot of things. I'm a very conservative guy when it comes to finances, but I told my lawyer yesterday, we was having a good conversation, and we was just talking about, he learned this stuff when he was 37, 38, as him making mistakes, finally getting money. He didn't know what to do with it, and when he looks back at it, and he just, he just stated that it's just so much we have to do, So when it comes down to it, I just told him, if I didn't make the Grace Lee family, I would be a broke athlete. I wouldn't be on this. If I was on this show, my conversation would be totally different. But I got with a family that's educating me on finances that I can't go to many people in my family to know how to do investments, how to look through an investment deal, how to look at stock, knowing your taxes and all that stuff. Those are all things that I had to learn. And I didn't learn it overnight. It took me 7-8 years. I can sit here and have a decent conversation with you about all these things at 37. But me getting hurt and being paralyzed my rookie year is why I'm on this chat with y'all. Because if it wasn't for that, I'd have spent a whole bunch of money. I'd have been living totally different. Because I knew I was a little. I knew how I did things in college. But that injury for me. Nah, I didn't know if every game was going to be my last game. So it put me in a different mindset that a player that retires at in their 30s. I'm years ahead of them because it happened to me at age 20 where I didn't know if I ever was going to play again. And I would have had to make that contract stretch out for the rest of my life.
So what are you doing now, TJ? Because I see a lot of stuff you're doing with the youth. It's a lot different. I mean, I was on a Zoom call with you and some young people, and it was so inspiring to me that you had the you had the wisdom and the vision to bring in young people and people like myself and people like Royal Ivy and guys to talk to your people in your program about life. And then we talked to them about this, the pandemic. We talked to them about racism in their family. It was a unique concept. But I was thinking last night, TJ, and I want you to just comment anytime you want to. I was thinking the way you teaching these kids, I know what you're doing for other kids out here. I know some players that people don't know that you're mentoring in the background. You're teaching them how the game works. And you just said somebody taught you the game and removing misinformation, okay? And what I was thinking about, TJ, when you were coming up, your dad, your brother, they farmed FARMED, you into being a great player. They saw a talent young. They invested time in you. They farmed you. Nothing negative about it, but you went to high school. You got better. You did this. You went off to college. You got better. You were farmed to be a professional basketball. You were groomed to be, maybe that's better to be a better. They realized that you had talents and skills. Your family did, and Rick Barnes did, and the NBA did. And I looked at us as black people. We are good in the arts and culture stuff, the rock and roll, the country music, sports and arts. We athletes, even driving F1 cars now, y'all. That wasn't even thought about until Lewis Hamilton came in. F1 car, black, forget about it. Black folk, see, what has happened is, us as black people, we've farmed, we farmed our kids. I'm watching the kids out in the AAU sphere. I mean, the summer basketball sphere. With the help of their parents, people are farming their kids for basketball. And these areas has benefited us. You were one of the guys that got out. You're not like me and Jimmy. You got out, and it benefited you. But it didn't benefit you enough. You said you wanted 50 million, but you didn't make it there. So this one, like a guy in a small town, TJ, it's a football player. How they put you on this track. They put you on put you on this track to be a great football. Then you go to Texas. Then you go to pro. You get a scholarship. You go. What I'm talking about is, why don't we farm our kids to be something other than athletes? Why can't we farm engineers? Hey, man, I'm going to tell you, I've been around a lot of engineers. Those guys are living in the houses. TJ, I know where you live, but it's some guys on your street. It ain't many. It's some people on your street. I'm telling y'all, I don't mean to tell it. Single digit address, y'all. But it's some people on your street ain't never picked up a basketball, and they living just like you or better. So I just want your opinion on how can we farm engineers, entrepreneurs? That's what we need to do. Let's farm some of those guys, because when I look at the GMP of the companies that make up $1 trillion of this industry, of the DMP, that's the gross consumer product thing. Guess what, TJ? Them jobs ain't got nothing to do with the arts. It's tech. It's all of these kind of jobs. All of these jobs in the medical industry. All the jobs that don't have nothing to do with basketball or sports. those are the people that's winning, and we're not farming our kids to be that. Jimmy, I know I done went over it, but I had to get that point across. But TJ, we're going to have to hold everything because we got to go to this break, but hold everything. I want you to go at that one soon as we go back. I got something for the ladies. Let me find it for them. Jimmy, you can talk for a second until I find it, and I'll tell you when. Just give me a second. I had it. Come on, Jimmy.
We're going to the break.
Yeah, we're about to go to break, but okay, I got it. I got it, Jimmy. I got it.
So I think it's really also about changing minds in a guy like Drew Brees' case, and not just hearts, unless you suspect maybe for good reason. I don't know about his heart.
Yes. Let me be clear. I don't know about his heart either, but I know what should reside in your heart is empathy, and I don't believe that you have to be trolled and dragged through Twitter and Instagram in order to change your mind and realize that what you said was intolerant and or could be considered insensitive later. If you had been educated and forced to confront the issues and, like I said, had empathy in your heart, then you would have known the Black experience is not easy, especially when 70% of your league is African American, and these are the conversations that you should have had. So maybe it's not his whole heart's bad, but something about empathy was off if the first thing out of his mouth was it's disrespectful. I will not tolerate anything that is disrespectful to our nation and the flag. That was the first thing. Now, if he would have came out and said, oh, well, you know, I understand why it happens, and I understand the meaning of protest and why we need it. However, X, Y, Z, but that's not the way it went down in that conversation. And it wasn't a quote in a magazine. It wasn't a quote in a newspaper. And I'm exhausted and I'm tired of having to listen to someone say something like that and then have to sit back and be like, well, maybe he didn't. Maybe it's not his heart and it's this and it's that. When you reveal yourself to me and you say something like that and you say it out of an intolerant mind and or heart or a non-empathetic heart. And for the last 5 years, all we've done is see countless deaths in the street. My patience left my body when I watched George Floyd take his last breath. So if that didn't affect you and make you want to reassess the way that you're going to address a question that includes racial injustice in our country after you watch that man die in the middle of the street, something's off. I don't know if it's your heart. I don't know if it's your mind, but I don't accept either of them anymore. I will not tolerate it anymore. And Drew Brees, I will accept your apology, but I don't have to sit here and wonder what is wrong or what is right and guess if you're a good or bad person. I am not the judge and or the jury. All I can do is let you reveal yourself, and countless people are doing that right now. And for the first time ever, they are reaping some kind of consequence that does not have any retaliation for me or the people that are calling them out. For the first time, I feel like I can go on TV and say certain things. For the first time, people feel that they can tweet certain things, and people can be held accountable for the things that they are putting on display in the and I'm not going to apologize for that.
Yeah.
Drew Brees and everyone else.
It's not for Drew Brees to tolerate or not tolerate.
Welcome back to the best 120 minutes of your day. The Chop Shop, the nation's #1 urban sports talk show, and also your midday sports happy hour. Yours truly, Robert Hatter, alongside Jim Hicks, coming to you live from Houston, Texas. You guess what, y'all? We got a special guest to me in the building today. TJ Ford. We were talking about just how should we rear our kids, farm clubbing them, because we're farm clubbing them to athletics, but we're not farm clubbing them to other jobs. And Jimmy, I said GNP, but I meant the GDP, the gross domestic product, 30 trillion gross domestic product. Daryl, take a look at that one. But TJ, what do you want? I mean, you can just.
I would say this. Let me say this. Okay. I mean, you say informed, but what I would say is, you're supposed to just follow your kid. You just got to follow your kid's passion. Okay. I think it is families out here that are having their kids go be engineers that are Black. You are having some athletes that are very smart and educated that's going down different lanes. I work for the National Basketball Players Association. Those 450 basketball players that y'all enjoy watching. I am a career development counselor for each and last one of those guys in the NBA. And my job is to be able to help those guys make a transition while they're in the NBA and also help them when they're out of the NBA and finding some type of interest that they have to get knowledgeable about. I think when you specifically talking about athletes, I think these athletes are very, very intelligent. They are very, very smart. They are very computer and tech savvy. I just think it's about collecting that. You can use youth sports. I think youth sports is a prime example that I think we feel is it's a mess up system, and it has to be revamped just like anything else. And when you look at it, we have these events, and we can specifically just talk about Houston, is you have a lot of successful guys here. And when I say success, a success doesn't have to do with a money amount that we accumulated. I think it's guys that had money, then lost money, that probably can be more valuable than a guy like myself, because I am a rare breed. Rashard Lewis is a rare breed here in Houston, meaning that we're still 1% or even less than that 1% who was able to even hold on to what we have. The question is, you know, how do people allow us to teach, be a resource the way we want to be a resource? I think part of it is people have the way that they want us to do it. And I think sometimes we can't get enough people to just listen and say, I do not care what program you play for. Only thing I care about is that if you want to be around me, you want to learn the things that I know, not only just on the basketball court, right? Because some of that stuff that I'm trying to hope people can do, that I have in my mind, some of it is unreachable in my mind. And that's just a personal thing for me of trying to share that knowledge. When you see a Michael Jordan giving knowledge to Kobe Bryant, that ain't easy. That's why I was only one of the few that got it to the level of a Kobe Bryant, because he understood what he was saying. But I think as far as youth sports, is being able to teach these kids these things yourself, Jimmy, putting these kids in rooms, putting them around people that they're familiar with to try to get the knowledge and let them choose whether they want it or not. And that way you can hold some things accountable for them.
That's good, TJ. But I'm not down in athletics. I don't want people to understand. I just want people to understand about how important the GDP is. It's 20 trillion. I know we used to didn't even use the word.
How many parents understand that? Like my parents.
Well, guess what? They ain't got. That's why we're talking about it on the show.
Right. I mean,
yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Because you asked me why we don't form our kids into other industries. Some of these industries, parents are not knowledgeable about them.
So
right?
Okay, so you said so
of their kids.
You're right, because you say your parent. Okay, in 3/4 of the GDP is made up or controlled by 3 services: financial service industry, the real estate industry, healthcare and medical wellness industry. That's 3/3 of that $20 trillion are made up. And guess what? And a lot of us are not in those industries.
Correct.
Because you just said your parents didn't know.
I'm just now hearing what you're talking about.
Okay.
That's why that we talked earlier in the show, Heather. Everybody like now today, TJ may become woke about about economics. Okay. These are principles of economics.
Okay. No. Listen, Jimmy, what you don't understand is my job is on this show to introduce people to this.
Yeah, you're doing fine.
So I mean that's the same thing. That means he's woke. Your job is to wake somebody up.
Okay.
So now, honestly, I will go researching that, right? So
okay.
I don't have enough information to dialogue with you about it, because that's the first time I heard of that, right? When you said the GDP.
Yeah. Gross domestic product.
Whether the assumption is I should know it, right? I'm just telling you, far as knowledge, I'm not knowledgeable about it, so I'm not going to speak up on it.
Okay, no, wait a minute. I got some. I'm gonna put it back to. I'm gonna put it where the ghost can get it. Let's say, of those 20 trillion, all the gross domestic product is the goods and services that the domestic we use. Okay, and who controls those industries? That's all. Okay, let me help you out. It's 54 billion of that 20 trillion. 54 billion makes up the music industry. Okay, But 17 of the billion, the 54 billion, makes up the singers in the industry. So the singers, if you're not a writer or producer, you're not at the top of that food chain. So all I'm trying to do is introduce that real estate, financial services, and the medical industry and engineering. If we can, listen, if we can farm our kids to go and play, and like you said, that's their passion. How they know it ain't their passion? I remember the first time I met a banker. I said, wow, this how this stuff works? I want my son to be like you. Let me repeat that. I want my son to be like you. So I groomed my son. I'm telling you, it's a practice that I help. That's why he's on Wall Street in the financial sector. I'm just saying, I'm just giving you principles that it's possible, parents. Like you just said, you didn't know. But guess what? It's some people on Google should be on Google right now. If you got a kid, then hold up. Because every time I go out to Bel Air, I go and watch them big old homes behind them hills up there. And then I know one athlete stay up in there. But me, Jimmy, I want to know who's the rest of these guys who stay up in there. They ain't shot, not now jump shot. Doctors make a lot of money too, Jimmy. Repeat that, young people. Doctors make a whole lot of money too. I know it's not glamorous and you won't.
No matter what industry we go into, what industry we want to be a part of, as a black man or a black woman, the challenges that come at the lower level and even at the higher level, it doesn't really change. I think right now, if you even can look at what's going on at the University of Texas, of these black athletes that went and protest about, slave masters, names on buildings, they want statues down, the Eyes of Texas song. So they did a lot of research. I'm just here to be able to try to support their cause and not allow them to take away from that moment of how they truly feel. I'm not as engaged of being a counsel for those athletes. Now, the athletes have got majority of the publicity, but what is not really stated is that it's a whole bunch of other organizations that came together for that cause, the student body at Texas as well. Now, how Texas handled that as a university, that's still up in the air. It's some things that, I've been involved in over the last week of having conversation of trying to do things to be even more impactful at the University of Texas to give our student athletes and just students a better opportunity to make them feel good. I've been on the campus. I'm from Missouri City in Baytown, Texas, predominantly all black. Can you imagine what an athlete is going through when they go to these schools and it's 90% white? So it's a lot of things that we have to educate these kids on even before they go to college. So I see I talk to Jimmy often. It hasn't been a year where he hasn't told me the number of scholarships coming out of Houston has been below 50, whether that's D1, D2, whatever the case may be. Well, who's giving these kids information? Who's giving them knowledge? Who's giving them what's going to be expected when they get there? So the only issue that I have sometimes in youth sports is the fact that those are the things I'm willing to try to just share with any and everybody is about what it's going to take, what you're going to deal with. When you deal with adversity, who can you call? Majority of these kids are not calling back to their AAU coach. And I'm not putting a knock on no AAU coach. That's just a relationship with maybe that kid. It's a relationship thing, I guess. I don't know. But the experience to be able to tell them how to handle media, right? How to handle your coaching, how to handle class, how to handle tutoring. How do you handle your day? How do you manage a 12-hour day when you in college? These are things that I feel like a lot of our kids here in Houston, they're not prepared for. And it's a lot of successive guys that have been prepared. It's guys that wasn't prepared, that was able to find a good mentor at school, have good people with them, that allowed him to continue to, educate himself and do well. And I don't think we really, speak on that enough because kids go do other things. And I think when you look at all the AAU programs that are around as well, we all talk about the scholarship players, the players that are going to college. But we don't talk about the kids that played on the AAU program that didn't get a scholarship that are going to school in these industries that you're talking about. Now, when you talk about an athlete, if you're on scholarship, they're not letting you take engineer class. You can't even major that at the University of Texas. So it's certain degrees as an athlete you can't do because it conflicts with the schedule. Those are the things that we're talking about behind closed doors of trying to fix. Because, I am a guy that understand both ways. And one way is when these athletes get done, white athletes get an opportunity to go in these industries because of the relationships that they have or friends that they met along the way. They get to be able to get in position or get the opportunity to learn and figure it out. Us black athletes continue to try to strive through basketball. Most of the guys either, if they don't get a career right away, then they're back home with their parents trying to figure it out. So we're trying to create those changes for guys that when they're in the sport, how do we prepare them for when that time is coming? Because you got another 30, 40 years, and you got a lot of talent here that got good stories that can give these players of the things that they did, because they all have good stories. Whether it has a bad ending or not, they have stories that most kids are going to go through. And we have the resources here. The question is how are we able to do that through basketball, which has been the most conflict situation in Houston since I've been doing this, 8 years? And it hasn't really changed or hasn't went in a different direction. And I would ask you guys, number one, why is that? And two, when does it change?
Well, Jimmy, we got 13 seconds. I know we're gonna come back to that one. He said, "When does it change?" Great topic. Thank you, TJ, man. You still here, but just thanks for the words of wisdom. And I'm just trying to do the same thing, just in my sector, just introduce new things. And I know people sometimes when you introduce new things, it kind of people don't want new. People don't want to change sometimes. So, I might have to just pull a few teeth, but over the coming months, we just gonna talk, because these conversations other people having, we need to start having. So let me, I got a commercial for y'all. Let me go here. Oh, let me see, Jimmy, I like this one from yesterday.
Man, I honestly never pictured this moment with my father being here for the first time, and I'm just so happy that he was here for this moment. It means so much for me to see him in the crowd. It just means a lot to me, knowing that he was here and that I could do this in this special moment. I never pictured this. I never pictured him being in the crowd, cheering me on and things like that this far in my life. But he's here, and I'm just so happy that he's here.
Read this way. It's a wall. Come on. Right? Stop. That's that wall. Okay. Say I didn't beat him this way. Right? Say I beat him this way. There goes my wall. Y'all see it?
Everybody, this your boy Charles Woodson, man. I'm in H-Town right now, man. Y'all know I love me some Houston. But I just had to tell y'all, man, that my midday sports happy hour is the Chop Shop with my boy Robert Hatter and Jim Hicks. I think y'all call them Ray and Claude. Well, if you do, I'll put the sheets on you. You know how they do it, man. Hey, y'all have a good day, man. I love you. Chop Shop. Tune in.
To this day, as if 400 years of slavery wasn't enough. From the womb as a black man, we was born to be tough. Lynched, whipped, burned was the thing of the past. But to this day, jailed, raped, gunned. How long will it last? As if Malcolm X and MLK wasn't a must. As Eric Garner, Breonna Taylor, Trayvon Martin all died from, just being us. Dark like molasses, black like the night. United we stand. Together we fight. Fighting for Ahmaud Arbery and all of the others. Tell me why y'all killing all our sisters and brothers to this day? I don't remember a time when none of my people did anything to you people other than work hard and try to be equal. Now y'all mad at protesters and riots? We showed you nothing but peace. We done being quiet. To this day, to this day, to this day.
Back, Jim.
Welcome back to the Chop Shop, your midday sports happy hour, the best 120 minutes of your day. We're officially on that back nine with TJ Ford live in the Chop Shop with us, chopping it up on this Women Rock Wednesday. Shout out to all the ladies out there. Yolanda Green, I see you out there in the Facebook feed. We call it the Boom Boom Room. She's out there grooving along. And, hey, we got economics was a premium for the last couple of segments. And you guys got some of that resonated with into your thoughts. And I read a lot of the comments during the break, which great comments. Keep them going. And if you're watching right now for the first time, we invite you to share the show to your timelines, to your friends, to your hoop groups and whatnot. Chop Shop, this isn't your normal type of sports talk show for you first timers. There's a lot of first timers that we know that are watching today. But the show is pretty entertaining, it's engaging, it's informative, and it's enlightening. And it's a way to get through the middle of the day. A lot of people watch the show from work. A lot of people watch it from their desk. A lot of people, just are addicted. We call a lot of the posters, that platform is the Boom Boom Room. So feel free to pose a question that you may have for TJ Ford during the conversation, and we will do our best to toss that question to him. And it's just that simple. Not often will you get a chance to dialogue virtually with TJ Ford. So meanwhile, we'll start this thing off by taking half a step backwards. And you mentioned something last segment, TJ, that was about the University of Texas and the football players, which ignited or inspired groups within the University of Texas student body to rally together for a common cause, which includes renaming school buildings, which they've done before. So it's not like they're asking them to do anything they haven't done before. You follow? Tearing down a statue or two. They've done that before. So this is not like these players are asking University of Texas to do something that's historic. Also, now, The Eyes of Texas, that song. Did you, when you played at UT, did you know anything about the undercurrent of this theme song back then, or did it never? No. So like I say, some people wake up on different days. We didn't, probably wasn't woke.
I really wasn't. No, I didn't know.
You just sung it.
Eyes Up of Texas up on you, and I hold my Longhorn. I think for me, my mind, I'm in a zone, right? I never really thought about the song. I never knew the entirety of a song. I don't remember the words of the song. I just remember the Eyes of Texas are up on you. For me, during that time when the games was over and that song was sung, my mind was, the reality of what I got to deal with once I leave there. So I was still hyper, just trying to, figure out what my next couple of hours was going to be like and start preparing for the next day. Obviously these guys feel that way about the song, and, we just here to really support them. So what are the things that is going to be good? I mean, look, for these black athletes to just be able to speak up and to be prepared, whether people feel like they was 100% prepared or 10% prepared, they was more prepared to do this more than I would have in my time. So I commend those guys of coming together, creating a cause, trying to create some change, and just have a conversation. So I think that the solution to it is, I think they accomplished the solution that now the athletic director and the student body and the athletes, they have to have a conversation about these issues that these guys feel are concerned. And that is something that in the past we wasn't able to do, people wasn't able to do, to go have a real conversation and it not be one-sided. So for those kids to be able to express themselves and, like I said, be prepared, I felt that people should understand that these kids and these athletes, whether you black, whether you white, they are smart, they are educated, and they know how to prepare. They know how to prepare themselves, and they are prepared. That's the most important thing.
And they seem to be pretty organized too.
Very organized, very thought out. So I applaud them. I would love to just support them and let them be the voice of what they want to change, because they are the next generation that can change something for the next 20, 15 years, 20, 30 years. And I don't want to get away in that, because I had my experience and they have a different experience that they want to let out. So as a former player, I'm supporting and know that, you know, I'm here for any of those players, any of those kids, to hear them out. That's all I could do is be supportive. And, you know, they are helping some of us as well. You know, we wasn't vocal and say certain things. So I don't think that impact what they're doing at just the University of Texas. I think that changed the whole culture for the whole kids at any university.
So
I got a question, Jimmy, for him.
What you got?
On the Facebook feed. Lacey Reynolds, coach, at TSU. He just asked you a question, TJ. Did you ever think about attending an HBCU? Now that you have been through it, would you have recommended a student athlete to attend an HBCU? If you have the talent to be a pro, they would find you wherever you are as an athlete.
Well, let me go to the first question. The first question, you know, I was coming out of high school. No, I never considered going to. I think when you look at a budget, it's just kind of hard to compete, right? It's hard to compete flying private at the University of Texas and going eating a certain unlimited amount of food compared to the resources you have at, I wouldn't even say a HBU, but that could just be that could be HBU. It don't have to be a black college. There's other white colleges out there that don't have the resources and the funds as well. So I think when you look at the players, I mean, this is an opportunity for us to change the narrative if we choose to do so, right? I think we have to put more funds into these black universities to give them the upper hand. And it just takes one person to start that. Now, who would that be? How would that go? You know, hopefully it happens in our lifetime. Maybe it doesn't. But I think the conversation is there now. And I think it will help the next generation be more interested in joining these universities compared to my time when nobody from basketball was even considered or making it to the pros, to my knowledge from those schools.
What you got, Jim?
We're looking for the Boomer Room, of course. Of course, I'm looking at a lot of the comments and following along. And speaking of the HBCU topic, and what do you think about the second part of what Lacey posts? And he says, if you have the talent to be a pro, they will find you wherever you are as an athlete. And now that same type of comment is often relayed and applied to players, and they're tell for us recruits. You got some kids that play with sneaker sponsored programs, and then there are people who say, if you're a Division I player, that coach gonna find you. You don't have to go on the circuit. So I look at those as parallel statements. What are your thoughts on that? If you have the talent to be a pro, they will find you, or a college player, they will find you wherever you are.
That's a great saying that people love to use. But it's just hard to make it. It's hard to be the best of the best, period. Some kids are just going to be the best of the best in high school, and they can't get to the next level even when they get to college. I just think it's so many people playing basketball that some things just got to be in your favor. I'm not going to sit here and say, I think I would use those words, if they're going to find you, they will find you. But it depends, are you exceptional? Are you elite at those levels that you are? So if you was to go to HBCU, are you breaking records? If you're breaking records and you are a star at these schools, I think you have a good chance to always get noticed. But you can't go to these schools if you're not going to perform at a high level. So just go to University of Texas. If you go to TSU, or if you go to U of H, you have to still perform at a high level. It doesn't matter where you go. Half of the people not performing at an elite level to be special enough to give themselves a chance to get to the NBA. But more importantly, The NBA is full of people who did not go to these big universities. They were not ranked in high school. They was looked over. So being a 5-star athlete, do people understand the pressure it takes of being a 5-star athlete to have to listen to all the negativity? So how do you weed through that? I was having a conversation with Marcus Sloan, I think yesterday or 2 days ago. So who can give these kids advice of being a 5-star athlete if you ain't really never been one? Now, can you give them advice? Yes, but it's certain things that I can talk to them about that the person couldn't because they wasn't a 5-star athlete. How do you know somebody's your friend? How do you know if somebody actually giving you $20 or $10 to go get you a bottle of water? How do you know if you're not being manipulated by that? So it's certain things people can't even talk to these kids about that they're dealing with because they're not understanding all the underlying stuff that goes on of being a star athlete. And those are the things that kind of frustrate me at times because I see people not being able to share that advice. That's very, very important that that comes to help create your character. So the character of who you are as an individual is more important than who you are as an athlete.
Now, what you just said is right on the mark, and I'm hoping that it hit some of you guys when you picking up. Understand, when with certain players, and I put it like this, me personally, there's a player of the year in 6A basketball. That's the highest classification in the state of Texas for basketball. There's also going to be a player of the year every year in 1A basketball. But that player of the year in 1A basketball, those schools are normally country, rural, very rural areas, country towns with student bodies of less than like 400, 250 students, something like that, or less. Well, those players, whoever's the player of the year, may feel every now and then that he's equal to the 6A player of the year or the 5A player of the year. And guess what? Maybe so. But for the most part, it's like those colleges. We mentioned the analogy. Wow, no matter what you do at that lower level, TJ, and you've been a volunteer in the grassroots sector for at least 8 years now. No matter how good of a kid that you claim to have, there's going to be people that's going to sniff at him, but they're going to still think in the back of their mind, I need to see him play against one of these other guys. And that's going to be that's going to always, or that has been always been the sale or the lure for a lot of our young people.
Can we, because this is going to be a long subject, can we take a quick break and then come right back to that? I like that one. I'm going to let you come right back to that one. Let's just take a quick break and come right back to that one. You hold that one right there, right? Put a bookmark right there. Chop Shop, we'll be back in just a minute.
Here you go, y'all.
You gotta get down. Listen, then you go.
That foot hurt, y'all. He can't get it like he wants to.
That's it right there. You gotta you find your groove. Listen, find your groove. Then you stand there. Push. See? Push.
Terrible.
Hey, that's my feet right there. Yeah,
that's who's responsible for this.
Come tell what you have to walk into.
Welcome back to the Chop Shop, your midday sports happy hour, the best 120 minutes of your day. And that was a blast to the past during the break. Of course, you saw me guys doing the pool. That's the shot to Al Hudson in One Way, the group back in that days. We have TJ Ford live in the building. And hey, TJ, one day you better let your backbone slip like that, like I did back in the day. We were talking and just great convo about players, because what made me think about that a couple in the past decade. University of Houston had one man that led the United States in scoring. Didn't get a sniff in the NBA. Aubrey Coleman. But all during that season, people were magnifying and glamorizing how many points he was scoring and how good he was and what he could do because he had led the country in scoring. Texas Southern University, 2 blocks away from U of H, also in the past decade, had a player who led the country in scoring in the SWAC. He was 6'8", led the country in scoring. Wasn't number 1, he was number 2 for sure. This didn't even get a sniff. He didn't even get invited to Summer League. And during the SWAC, everybody was saying, man, this dude averaging almost 40 a game. He's averaging whatever he was averaging. I can't think of the guy's name. So then people were saying, well, he's not playing against. No. That's what people were saying. So, I mean, just give me your thoughts.
Has nothing to do with it. Has nothing to do with it. You can score 30 points. That don't mean you can play. That's what people get it twisted. That don't mean you can play just because you can score. Knowing how to play is, can you play when you not scoring? Can you play a role? Everybody has to be a role. So that's why it's important trying to get now. For me, it was getting drafted as a lottery pick. Well, now, especially top 10. Well, now, if you was a top 5 pick, you was a game-changing athlete in the NBA. Well, now it's the number 1, number 2. Maybe they game changers.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter what you do. I think people get caught up because I know Coleman at U of H, but when you put him on the floor, how can he get 30 if there's other stars on the team? Can he play defense? Can he fill a role? So when you look at sports, even in high school, when these kids pick these colleges, do they have an idea what their role is going to be before they get there? Me, I ask every coach that before I pick my selection of where to go. I didn't ask them that one time. I asked them that for 2 years.
What's my role?
Every year, a college team changes, right?
And that's what the colleges do when at the end of each term, when they have the exit interviews in college, every player, normally scholarship player, would meet with the coaches before they go home for the summer in May. And in those conversations, is that what the coaches tell the players what your role would possibly be next season? Now, your conversation might be a little different because you were TJ Ford.
Well, listen, I don't think it changes. I think it's decision making. So I don't want to wait till I get a school to wait to figure out what my role is. As you recruited me in high school, I need to have an idea what that's going to be for the future. So when you get there, you're not shocked, you're not surprised, you're not unhappy. The expectations is there for you, right? So yes, every coach can tell you that you're great in recruiting. So how can these kids know who's BSing them and who's not? How can they weave through good conversation and bad conversation? Because recruiting, which is now happening even younger now, how can you tell when somebody's telling you the truth? When you're around the best of the best. You're around the best criminals. You're around the best talkers. You're around the best you're around the best salesman in anything in the industry that you want to be in. How can you tell the difference? It's not easy. Not easy.
You're telling me the kids should constantly ask that of a coach, especially a coach that's recruiting you. What would be
you do not get an opportunity to make many mistakes if you're trying to be an athlete. If you're trying to get to the top of this goal, I guarantee you most of the guys that you had on here, most of us didn't have no big mistakes to get to that NBA.
Gotcha.
We had some opportunities where decisions could have went either way. If I didn't go to Texas, I'm not the legend of Texas basketball.
But TJ, nowadays it's changed maybe twice since you came out of high school in 2001. And it seems like now in the grassroots sector, there's so many. I just watched the video, speaking of John Urie, you mentioned him a while ago. I just watched the video on social media the other day where he promoted a kid that was 6'8" as a point guard. And so if a coach wants that kid, and they're talking with that coach, with that person of influence, or the kid himself, and that kid think he's a point guard, that coach gonna probably tell him, "Well, hey man, we'll put you at the point." Now, the play on words is you're not going to be in uniform. You're not going to be in the middle of the game at the point. We're going to put you at the point in practice or in the workout. One time, when you turn it over, then it's going to be all over, your career over at the point. If that's whatever it takes, a lot of these people are begging to be lied to. And the college coaches have figured it out. Don't get it twisted. Not like they never lied before. A lot of them been lying. But you're making it easier that way. Do you think that's a good move for people to peg themselves into a certain position and say, this is what I am?
And just the way I was brought up, I was always brought up to stand on my own 10 toes. What I mean by that is I'm not really worried about what nobody's talking about. It's my job to go out there and prove that I can play and that I'm one of the best. And I'm giving somebody conversation to either talk about me in a good way, talk about me in a bad way, but I'm giving you the conversation to be able to do that. So whether it's my AAU coach that I had, or whether it's these coaches that want me, or it's an NBA team, I am the reason that I created the conversation for you to talk about me, period. A lot of people are doing it the other way around, and so many people getting to talking about what this person can do, and when you get there and you see it in person, you're not really interested, or that kid doesn't live up to it. So I think the structure is changing. You know, everybody's still doing things kind of the same, similar way. Whatever floats somebody boats, but I think a lot of parents just like to be sold, and they like to hear somebody tell them all these great things. I just felt as an individual, my confidence has always been high. I never lacked confidence as a kid. And for me, man, I just want to prove to anybody that I know I can play. I don't care what you give me. I don't care the platform. You can put me in EYBL, I'm going to do my thing. You can put me at the GMI, and I'm going to do my thing. I think it doesn't matter where you play. You have to do your thing. Same thing that, I started my NBA and overseas workouts this week. Same thing. Nobody care who you are. Nobody cares that I'm TJ Ford no more. Nobody cared about that I was this person and that person. Every day you walk in that gym, you got to prove it. And a lot of people is not making kids prove it every day. Not that you can prove that you can score. Can you prove that you know how to play basketball? Do you understand matchup? Do you understand rhythm? Do you understand pace? Do you understand what your strengths are? How to stay away from your weaknesses? They are being taught basketball because what happens is when these kids go to college, you have to run plays. It's no freelance basketball. It's plays. Can you read and can you react? That's what these kids are not being totally educated on, is understanding, like, can you run plays? It's difficult because you got to remember where you're supposed to be. Most kids can't remember plays, so that's why they don't get playing time.
I got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
On the show last week, we had John Lucas on the show, and he said something. And Key, and it's been on my mind. It's on my mind. I haven't had a chance to talk to him personally about it, but he mentioned on the show that Houston, we got to get better at cultivating and harnessing our great talent that we have here so they won't have to leave and go nowhere else. Houston, we got to get better. I kind of understand what he's saying, but being you're a five-star player. You were one of the type of players he's talking about. And I just want to hear it from you. Houston. He said Houston. In other words, Houston, we have a problem. Why our top players don't even want to play on our summer teams? They want to go play somewhere out of town, somewhere else. They want to leave. Do Houston have a problem to you? And,
yes.
and if it is, how do we solve it?
Yes, we got a major problem.
Okay.
Why do we have a major problem? Is because I think Houston was built on friendship. We would call it like buddy, right? You get your group of people that you associate yourself with, and you create your circle. And I think that was great in the time where I played and after. And I think now you got the older generation that ran events, ran tournaments, ran scouting services, and was bringing a lot of people to this city. Who we mentoring, who we trying to mentor. So when I look at it as an adult problem. I don't look at it as a kid problem. I just look at it as an adult problem. We can't all get in a room because everybody want to be in command. Everybody want to be in charge. Nobody want to be chiefs and follow and figure out. Jimmy has a strength. What is Jimmy's strength? We need to take that. I think all of us have a strength, but how do you put everybody in a room and say, this system that's in place now, it doesn't work. I'm not trying to be over anybody. I'm not trying to sit here and say I'm more dominant, I know more than Jimmy. It's about putting a good group together that's here and saying, these are the things that used to work. These are the things that needs to change. How do we change it? Everybody wants to meet. Everybody wants to talk, and they've been talking for years and years and years. But at the end of the day, everybody can't even sit in the same room together because we can't even do that. So how are we going to put all the kids together? Entitlement, power of trying to be the best AAU program. At the end of the day, we all can win. We all can be successful. We in a tough time right now. We can't even get all the right teams to play here. We can't. It's been like that for years. Teams can't play well. Then guess what happens? The elite teams, they just want to play against elite teams. So like you said, Jimmy, that's no different than the HBU. It happens right now in youth sports where people don't realize it. So if the top of the chain just only want to play the top of the chain and don't want to give lower people the opportunity, some games just to play, yeah, if they win, they're going to talk trash. That's basketball. That's sports. But we're not giving those teams and those organizations the opportunity to keep developing these other kids at the same time to give them an opportunity to play. So what do? How does kids how do they get that opportunity? Because that elite team is trying to find that kid in Dallas that's ranked number 1 or number 2, so his player could be ranked 1 or 2. It's not even about that, honestly. It's about, are you going to play and perform every time you step on the court? Because in sports, you're not playing all good teams year-round in no sport. It's good teams, average teams, and terrible teams. And guess what? If you look at the NBA, some of your top teams always lose to bad teams. So those theories of understanding how to play, no matter the talent, our job, if they're trying to be professional, is that we are supposed to perform no matter who we playing against. Those are just some small little things that I try to teach kids and say, hey, you got to keep getting better every day. You got to keep challenging yourself every day. But I think I would love to be a part of it. I don't know how to steer it because, obviously I had different experience with everybody. I don't mind sitting in the room and saying what I think and what I feel we need help. But I just think it's about us adult black men not really sharing any knowledge or really trying to do anything amongst each other. And you can't help the kids that way if we can't do it as adults together. And I think we have a good range of age. You have a John Lucas that's older. You have yourself. You have Jimmy. Then we have another crop of guys that's doing it. The Sloans and these other guys, well, they can't bring the same thing that's already been done. They got to be able to give people opportunity. And we're not giving everybody opportunity here in Houston.
That's a good one, Jimmy. Break time, Jimmy.
We're up against the break and want to give you guys, as we come back, next segment is the last segment. We're going to take all questions in the next segment. So your questions that we see you queued up on the YouTube feed and Facebook, we will get to those questions and toss them right to TJ Ford. Meanwhile, I want to give a congratulations, Halle. This is like a holiday on Sandra and her family, which is my extended family, and my family, that's in-laws. And I'm proud to announce the homecoming in the technical sense of the word. He's coming home and that is Matt Menchaca Jr. And Matt was sentenced to 50 years when he was 17 years old. He's did 25 years and 6 months eating ramen noodles and Zuzus and Wham Whams and Bluebell ice cream and whatever else they got up in that place. He's home now. So I wanted to give a shout out to them. Welcome home.
Welcome home, Matt.
Brother-in-law. Chop shop, be right back.
To get ready because we have a candidate for Shaq and a Fool.
Oh, we got Shaq and a Fool early?
Player of the Year.
No, you didn't.
Eric Bledsoe.
No, you didn't.
You got to pass it into someone, Eric.
He actually waved. Oh. He's actually serious. I thought he might try to play it off like he actually thought the ref wasn't looking.
Stay tuned. Will this make the Crunchy Awards tonight?
It's going to make the Crunchy Shaq and the Fool, a.k.a.
We're having out our Crunchies coming up in a bit. Will Eric Bledsoe be in it?
Lamont Stanford on that one right there.
I don't want to get a little emotional up here, man, but I just want to thank him for everything he done for me. He made me who I am today, and I'm just thankful for it all. Great job, Will.
What do you think society saw?
None of that, however, eclipses what's going on tonight. Right here, inside of the Toyota Center. That is the man himself, James Harden, averaging 36 points a game. Not shooting too well. We'll talk about that. We see Russell Westbrook, too. I'm not going to be critical of the outfit. When you're that gifted, when you're that special of an athlete, you can get away with wearing those kind of outfits. I wouldn't advise anybody else to try it, but Russell Westbrook, he can get away with it. It's Sports Center with Stephen A. It's time.
It's not just the ships, the armor, or the aircraft. It's something more. It's the will to fight and determination to win, found inside each and every Marine that answers.
You may have 2 or 3. You may have
Welcome
4.
back to the best 120 minutes of your day. The Chop Shop, the nation's #1 urban sports talk show, and also your midday sports happy hour. Yours truly, Robert Hatter, coming to you live from Houston, Texas, alongside Jim Hicks, and Mr. TJ Ford is in the building. They were having a heck of a conversation, or sidebar, in the thing. So I just want, are y'all going to continue that conversation?
No, it's Q&A.
Oh, it's Q&A. Y'all can't do the people like that.
I mean, it's the last segment.
Okay, last segment.
Jeremy, they say, ask TJ, what are your thoughts regarding the Kyrie Irving making the statement and Avery Bradley making the statement regarding players forming their own league outside of the NBA?
That's news to me. I know the news that I was reading.
I'm just reading the question. Yeah.
That's news to me. Now I know those guys were speaking up about finishing the season and what's more important, finishing the season or trying to do all these different reforms to be.
Let's hop on that.
So I mean, Kyrie Irving just came on board to be one of our leaders as the president of the National Basketball Association. So when I look at it, we have the ability to speak up. I don't think he's wrong by voicing his opinion. No. Now, in order to be able to him to give his view, right? You had different views. That's one view. Some people and players agree with his view, but it's still, can he be able to explain that to get the massive guys that have to vote to make them possibly feel like, that's the right thing to do. But I think he's just coming up with his way of what the solution would be. So I don't think he's wrong. I'm not going to say he's wrong. I'm going to say he's coming up with a solution that he feel may be best for him. And there's some few guys that agree with what he's saying. Now, are they able to pull that off when it's, 450 other players that have to feel the same way? I'm not sure, but I think it's good for him to be able to express his views and people take it and not get all upset because this is how he feels. If everybody answers the same, then we wouldn't have to think outside the box and make sure the solution is the best solution for all parties. And I think what he's saying and what guys agree with him up on is are y'all thinking about all this, are y'all really breaking down everything that we have to go through? And I just think it's a way to make the NBA and make them think about it and make sure that the system they put in place is tight and sound.
And Avery Bradley, that's your former, you're part of your fraternity, University of Texas, Longhorn. So have you spoken with Avery about his thoughts?
No, because I work for the Players Association. So my duty is not to call these guys and really get their opinion. My job is to be here to support them. My job is not to really get involved with, I'm not in that room with them, right? I'm not a competitor. So I think for me, it's to sit here. If he was to ever call and ask my opinion or give my thoughts, then I would share it. Other than that, I'm just here to be supportive of him speaking out and giving his opinion, because that's something that, I think that's a surprise to everybody. Avery is not a guy that really speaks out and take this direction. So he's a smart kid, smart young man, not a kid anymore. And I'm here to support my brother any way I possibly can. I'm just happy that he was able to feel confident enough to speak his view and speak his mind.
Good deal. We got more questions from the Boom Boom Room. You got?
Well, I saw a couple. I just asked this one. Madonna, because it's Women Rock Wins, and she's asked you concerning you going to U of H if Rashard Lewis would have committed there.
I think that would have gained all our interest. But if Clyde Drexler was still there, it was between Texas and U of H. Clyde Drexler is somebody that was unbelievable to me during my high school career, to get to know a legend that I grew up watching. I talked to him all the time, and I was probably one of the few athletes. I believe I was a few athletes that really gave him the time of day. And if he didn't quit, I was really interested. He's still a dear friend of mine today that we still meet up and talk and help me in my personal well-being as well. So, no, he was somebody that I have much respect for, and somebody that kind of gave me this vision of why, my ultimate goal is to have my own gym here in Houston where kids can come to, because of Clyde Drexler being from Houston and being an athlete that's never done it like that before. So that's my ultimate goal for me in my post career, is having a facility that everybody can come to. It won't just be about basketball. We want to be able to have situations where kids have to go through some financial literacy classes, some health and wellness, because it's a lot of things that we're dealing with that these kids don't share out. It doesn't matter your background. It doesn't matter if you poor, middle class, or rich. We all are going through similar things in different ways, and we all have certain things that we're fighting. So we want to be able to create this system and create a place that kind of covers all these things that we know kids need to understand, whether you're an athlete or not.
Now, I want to ask you, speaking of the U of H situation, back when you were in high school, and it's another one of the viewers in the Boomer Room posted this question a while ago. Can you share, back then you mentioned Clyde Drexler. A lot of people aren't aware of just how close it was for T.J. Ford to possibly have been in the University of Houston uniform. Clyde Drexler abruptly stepped down, right, during that recruitment phase, and it caught everybody by surprise. Byron Smith, who's the head coach at Prairie View right now, was an assistant coach for Clyde at the time. Tell us who was in the group. That was a group of players. They were trying to form a Fab Five or a Fab in Houston to come there together. And share what about that?
That never was going to happen, right? That was never going to happen.
That ain't Clyde over there, is it?
Oh, that's my young son. You want to say? My young son. So that never was going to happen. The reason that never was going to happen, because you can go back to AAU basketball, right? So the situation should have been Alden Ford went and got his own team. Alden Ford was supposed to be me, Daniel, Alden Ford, George Williams. We had Floyd McLean. We had this incredible team that was really supposed to be one team, right? But Alden Ford, Dale Shelby ended up going to get their own situation with Selena. So that kind of messed things up. So Alden Ford going to U of H, and that whole dynamic was just crazy. But for me, I was going to school by myself regardless. I wasn't looking to go to school with nobody in Houston to that matter. I wanted to be able to go show that I can sell out any arena, and I was able to show that I was one of the best players in the country, because what people didn't understand is most of y'all didn't see what I did in AAU basketball. Right? People only can speak about my career from high school, right? And only my teammates can tell y'all what I did in the summer. But if you ask anybody, I was 100 times better in summer basketball than I was even in high school basketball. That's why I became super elite, right? So for me, all I was doing was playing a role at Willow Ridge High School, right? I was I was a good role player in my role. Daniel was the star of the team. I made sure everybody was happy, and I had to sacrifice. But when it came to summer basketball, when all the talent is the same, I was that guy. I was the go-to guy, me and Daniel. So my role was totally different. I was able to show the same thing that you seen me do at the University of Texas. I was doing that in the summertime. So it wasn't a surprise to me. I knew what I was capable of. Like I tell you, it don't matter what you give me. I grew up playing on bad teams. Gotcha. I'm just trying to follow the script, even with my own son, that I feel is really good, that people haven't really seen yet, because it's a process, and I want him to understand that it's not about me. I don't want nobody coming out here putting pressure on you. I'm gonna take you through this a little slow so you can create your own niche and you can create your own vibe how you want to go through it. But at the same time, it don't matter what you give me. If you're a good player, it don't matter what's on your team. You're gonna win, and you're gonna give your team the best chance to win at all times. Now, that's just my ego to show that, you know, how good I am. That's something that I wanted to take on personally. That was my own personal challenge. Now, it's only two things can happen. It's either I'm gonna prove people wrong, or I'm gonna prove that I wasn't. And for me, I don't like to be wrong.
Now, Rick has a question. We're going to tossing the questions to you from the Boom Boom Room, and he takes you back to that 2001, since you were talking back then. Semifinal game, Willow Ridge versus Converse Judson. The other semifinal game was, I think, the Colony versus Bryan, and the I guess the Houston versus Dallas. The pot that year, the pot was really simmering because everybody wanted to see Willow Ridge versus the Colony. That backcourt was Bracy Wright and D. Will, and of course TJ Daniel, amongst others, with the Willow Ridge team. The Colony gets upset. You guys find yourself in a nail biter against Converse Judson. Do you remember that little? And somebody mentioned the little 5'7" guard Leonard Brown, and
yeah, he's in San Antonio doing good with the youth, coaching some youth basketball. So
great.
Yeah. Yes, he told me up that game. I'm never afraid to admit when I didn't perform at my best. They had us down. That was a tough moment that we had to overcome a lot of adversity. I think we was down maybe 10 points with 2 minutes to go. Yeah, I remember that like it was yesterday. Coach Courtney, we called timeout. Coach Courtney started kind of barking at me a little bit, and I kind of felt like he was kind of blaming me for what was going on, and we kind of had some words with each other. And next thing you know, we went in our full court press, and I was able to take my game to another level in 2 minutes because we was down and I was challenged. And that challenge was, I knew this guy was killing me, but I just needed to take my mind to another level. And I was able to do that because I think as soon as they threw the ball in, I set him up for a steal where I think I set him up to spin. I steal it from behind and I dunked it right away. And that was the first play out of that timeout, and that changed everything. So I got memory like crazy now. Yeah, I remember that.
Wait a minute. Who won the game? Who won the game?
Willow Ridge won. They came back and won.
That's all I'm worried about. I ain't worried about that little midget. That guy. I'm sorry.
But that was a memorable state tournament because it was almost two upsets, and that's very rare.
Well, people don't understand.
Almost ain't good enough in my life.
But hold up, that wasn't our first experience in that situation that season.
Willow Ridge, you had just played Willow Ridge.
I'm going this question. I'm saying why we was able to fulfill in that moment, right, when you down. But people, I'm going to take you back a little bit, right? That same year, we had a scare with LaPorte. People probably don't talk about that. They almost had us too when we got to Aldine Campbell Center. And then I think a night later, we had Booker T. Washington while I hit the game winner. So in that run, we had those scares in those moments. So having composure, having belief, still having that trust, still having that confidence amongst each other, we didn't get rattled even though we was down.
Now, next question is twofold question. Who was your toughest matchup and why? Now, also, what's your biggest challenge?
Jimmy, can we end the show and then just go into overtime? We're just going to do an ending of the show. Chop Shop, we'll be back with y'all tomorrow. Let's end the show. In the show now, but we're going to still be on, but we want to end it for television. Let's do that right now, Jimmy.
You just did it. Chop Shop is over. Now let's go.
We're over. We'll see you tomorrow. Okay. Now, back.
Give me 1 second. Don't move. Okay. Just hold on. I gotta move my stuff.
Okay. All right. Now we can go into overtime. now that I done said that hey y'all.
I'm
No, you
good.
good.
I'm good. We good now.
Now, Jimmy, you can keep talking while you looking at it. Looking
Well,
crazy. You can
we're in
talk.
overtime now, so waiting on him to move now. We can do that now.
We good. I
He's
guess.
answering the question.
Okay. All right. You done moved to another spot. Okay. That's all right.
We good? Can
Yeah,
y'all
we
see
good. We're playing from there.
me? Is that no? That's probably too dark. Huh?
Yeah, too dark. Yeah, there you go.
All right.
That's good.
That's good.
Yeah, that's good. All right, that's better. All right.
I'm good.
All right, let's go.
Yeah.
Now, you was going to answer a question?
I just asked the question. That's what I'm saying. So now maybe I'm going to ask the question again.
Okay.
Instead of, so the question is twofold from the Boom Boom Room, and it says, who's your toughest matchup and why? And then also, what's your biggest challenge when working with youth in your program?
Well, if we talking Houston basketball, Texas basketball, I mean, our number one rivalry was one of my best, was my best friend growing up, was Carlos Hurt. Me and Carlos Hurt played from 3rd grade to 8th grade. We just didn't play on the same AAU team once we got to high school, and that's when I teamed up with Daniel Ewing. Carlos Hurt, I grew up with it, man. I just knew, he's from A-Leaf, Southwest. We used to spend a night at each other's house, and I just seen the environment. He was tough. He didn't take no crap, and he was kind of that first player for me when we played on the road or we played in these gyms where it was real hostile, and he was the first one to always throw a punch at somebody, right? And he was unstoppable, man. And I think I would have had the same success with him. Obviously, I still had Daniel, and I think I proved that my last AAU tournament. I played with Carlos and we won the Nike tournament up in Portland. But Carlos Hurt, man, he could shoot the basketball. He was crafty. He was left-handed. He was tough. He talked trash, and he had the whole Southwest behind him. And when you have a whole area behind you where you grew up, man, that's always a scary thing for anybody. And he performed. He performed in high school. He performed in summer basketball. And, man, he's one of the best to ever play that game to come out of Houston, for real. The second question was the difficulties that I have in youth basketball.
The biggest challenge with your program with working with the youth?
I think the biggest challenge is just, sometimes, you want to have all the athletes come in the gym. You want to be the most competitive that you possibly can. There's some kids. I guess the biggest challenge is this. I have an AAU program. I still want to work with a lot of the best kids. My AAU program, for me, is set up to give all kids an opportunity that wants to play. That's the biggest thing that I'm dealing with, is trying to give kids an opportunity to play, to build character in the kid, to allow kids to make friends. The way that I go about doing things within my program is based on giving kids confidence. Everybody thinks it's about on the court. A lot of the stuff that I believe I'm teaching or showing people, it has to do with a way of life at the same time. But my challenge is being able to still get the best kids in the gym and still be able to give them my knowledge that I know I can help.
And next question, of course, somebody asked, can you explain to the parents how there's a big difference from playing local competition versus national competition? Because a lot of people are under the impression, as we mentioned earlier, about the analogy I gave with 3A versus 6A and 1A versus 6A. A lot of people think that just because you're the best in your city, that means you're automatically supposed to be one of the best in the country. It's not always going to translate like that in every city. And so can you explain, though, now with your experiences, what's the difference?
This may be a solution to the issue. The solution is, do we have 6 good programs in Houston? Let's just say 17. Let's say high school, 17, 16, 15. Do we have 6 good teams?
6, yeah. What you call good, though? Good
don't matter. Reputable.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, yes, absolutely.
What about 12? What about 12 teams?
That's reputable, and the product is two different things. Right now, 12 may be a stretch.
I think we at least got 12. Half the team, you got defenders, you got JL3, you got hoops. Who else we got in this city that's a sponsor shoe team somewhere?
Well, we only have Team Harden. Technically, they just let they down, but that's another sneaker sponsor team. So that's all we have this year.
What I'm saying is that controls half of the city. You got the Raptors, you got myself. I don't know. You got Team Taylor. You got a couple different people popping up. I don't know all the new names that's coming up. But what I'm saying is it is 12 teams, organizations here in Houston. But who can get them all in the gym to play? So that answers the local question. The local question is we can't put the best kids in the same room together to compete. So they're forcing people to have to go nationally because everybody's not trying to help everybody. Right? If you're a shoe company, you can help the local people by sitting here and we have a league and we play. Because I'm not going where you're going anyway. I can't even get in the room. The only thing I can do is buy my ticket when I walk to the admissions and pay my $10 or $20 and come in and watch. So those people that are in power are not trying to empower other people underneath them to help more kids. They are so focused just on those top teams. Those kids help other people get scholarships. That's what people are not missing. Everybody in my high school team, between me, Daniel, they got Division I scholarships to win JUCO because they didn't have grades. Even on my AAU team, because half of the guys that was on our AAU team, Richard Law got a scholarship. He didn't play many minutes. I got video. I got an AAU game on my computer here that I found.
Richard Law was a year after you, though, TJ. In all fairness, he wasn't.
It don't matter. He get the benefit of our labor of our.
I know, but the following
program, we established a program when we left that the kids came after us is getting recruited anyway because it's considered a good program, right? They got attention that more players gonna keep coming, right? So yeah, we helped a lot of people get 4-year scholarships, that limited roles. So
that following year, though, Richard Law was a top 3 player in Houston. As opposed to, he was a red ant.
He played nationally. He wasn't ranked at all nationally. So,
but that class was probably the worst class in the past 20 years. That class and this class coming out right now for that 2022. I'm sorry, 2002, 2002, and it's compatible to this 2021 that's coming out. Those are the 2 worst classes in the last 2 decades of Greater Houston. And the egg hadn't hatched yet, but we have this conversation after this term is over, and I put it down and show you that class back then in 2002: Cedric Hensley, Stephen Briggs, Richard Law, Alonzo Butler and Tim Mays was the top 5 players in Greater Houston.
I mean, I wouldn't.
And you had and Marcus Ebo was right there behind them, give him a shout. He was somewhere up in there, and then Sammy Bird.
But I think became the best player out of all of them, right?
Which one?
Jimmy Butler.
Was he 02? He wasn't 02.
I don't know what grade he is, but the point I'm making is he wasn't nowhere. I mean, I'm just saying, at the end of the day, that dude ended up being one of the best players, but in high school, from my knowledge, wasn't 1, 2, or 3. To my knowledge.
No, he wasn't ranked. He wasn't ranked there. But you know what he had?
But the point I'm making is in Houston, you told me it's over 50 kids that get scholarships. So people can never say it's not talented.
Oh,
so
absolutely.
50 kids, how many of these 50 kids have really played against each other? So what I'm saying back to the adults is saying Jimmy Hicks is a main influencer in Houston, Texas basketball. You're the first one to start it. How can Jimmy Hicks or whoever get these 12 teams together? Because right now, it ain't no shoe circuit, right? Why do I have to sit here and create a schedule where I'm going to Dallas 4 times? Doesn't make sense. So you tell me the talent is here. It doesn't cost any of us any money right now in this pandemic. But guess what's going to happen? Everybody's going to go to Dallas, and we're going to lose and not even be able to gain what we're trying to gain back because we got to go somewhere else. We ain't even got no league going. What we got going on? I'm listening.
Well, at the top of the show, the NCAA they announced that leagues will be live, fall leagues.
Yeah,
Now,
but I ain't worried
But
about that.
he ain't worried about that. He just talking about what are we doing?
In the live period, listen, it's only three college coaches that can go out. It's a million kids playing basketball. They can't see everybody. So everybody think a college coach. Let me ask you a question. When you get off your show, do you watch a whole basketball game?
I don't.
A college coach ain't either. He ain't gonna sit in front of no computer and look at these games like everybody, like they're gonna sell. It's just not. They can't.
They'll be able to come and watch they'll be able to, according to the new NCAA proposal that they put out on in the last 24 hours.
They can come out, right?
They'll be able to fly in, but only 2 coaches, because they don't want many coaches. Only 2 will be able to go into a certain place, not the whole staff, as they did in the past.
All right, so you got the whole country with 2 coaches. Where they gonna go? It's gonna still be a lot of empty gyms, empty space. But the point is, besides the live period, we have a lot of time in between that. Live period, I will never argue that because everybody have to fight to figure out how to get their kids seen. But when it's not a live period, why we ain't got these 12 teams? Why we not running the same system that the shoe company is doing? And you can have a lower level. If they win, they get in, and the other team get out. I mean, it could be done pretty easy.
Well, that could be done. You just mentioned it earlier, and you mentioned it and acknowledged that it comes from the sneaker teams are not willing to understand. There used to be what used to be called super pools, right? It went from regular. Everybody played tournaments back in your days, in the grassroots. Everybody played tournaments on every leg when they went out of town. It was a tournament. Then all of a sudden, some people got smart and made what they call super pools, meaning you put the top teams in the 1 or 2 pools or 3 or 4 pools, and everybody would go to the main bracket. Then all of a sudden, it shifted again, whereas a lot of the sneaker teams, when they were being regular in tournaments, they did not really want to play in the tournaments anymore, and that came with the change of the grassroots structure. Meaning that like Under Armour, Adidas, Nike, they went from the tournaments every week, every leg of their circuit to going with match play in a league format. Well, when that came about, the sneaker programs in a city like Houston aren't as willing to play against the non-sneaker teams that you just alluded to earlier, and you mentioned. They're not wanting to play those guys. Now, that's when the problem is, because that's where the young other guys, they're in the building. These teams are in the gyms at once or twice through the year. And at least once, we know, at the spring icebreaker. But the sneaker teams are all wanting to play other sneaker teams.
Okay, I got a solution then.
Thank you.
Forget about them. There's 3 of them. Forget about them. Let them go do their thing. We still got 9 teams here in Houston that could be done with. I'm on board.
Well,
I don't know how we do it, but I'm just saying at some point I'm on board. We don't need to shoot. We don't need to shoot teams. They don't want.
Well, if you plan, just say to mention the GMI, for example. Every one of those teams you mentioned are in the GMI. All 12 of those you just mentioned. And you didn't really count the 12, but we just say that 12.
Okay.
All of them are playing in the GMI. But if everybody's playing showcase games, you're only going to get 4 games.
Right.
So there's no way for everybody to play everybody. The numbers ain't going to add up. You're playing 4 games.
I just need 3 weekends, Jimmy. It's 3 weekends. That's 12 games. Solve the problem right there.
Well, you're talking about a league.
Well, yeah, nobody. I don't care for the tournament. I don't care to be in there with all these people. Give me my 4 games. I can get in, get out. No different. What makes the shoe circuit the shoe circuit? I know my times. You can give me a schedule. You can say we got the GMI. Then you can say we can come back on the 22nd through the 23rd. We got session 2. Session 3 is August 6th through the 7th, and that's the championship. We don't need no playoffs. Your record is the winner. Simple. These kids want to play basketball, but they don't get an opportunity to play because it's not nothing set there for them. They don't really care. They want to play to get better. I'm just telling you, it's not complicated because it's just 3 weekends. We don't need 4 tournaments. It's so many dates out there that we could be playing, especially now, because guess what? Jermaine O'Neal, he got it figured out there in Dallas with his program because he got a facility. So he's accomplished something. So why do I have to sit here and figure out if I want to go down there to participate because I can't get the talent here because I don't know the tournament? So nobody wants to sign up for a tournament, and Jimmy, I have to wait for you to tell me who I'm playing against. I just want to know who are. It's 12 teams. I already know those 12 teams, so I'll pay whatever you tell me it costs because I know those teams in there and I know what they're gonna get. I don't want to care to do pool play, and I'm just saying it now because of what has changed and where we at right now. Gyms is not available for a lot of AAU programs right now because a lot of people use high schools, even include myself. A lot of people don't really want to pay fees to go rent a gym. So how do we get the best basketball we can here in Houston? You got the GMI, great, on board. What about the other weekends we got?
Those other 11 teams will have to be on board as well in advance. So that project would be best suited and implied in like time out. Like right now, you're a month away. And a lot of people are uncertain as far as what they're going to do and have their schedule. Like you have your schedule made out for Dallas. You got certain weekends that you're going.
I just threw that out there. Ain't nobody's schedule set in stone. Everybody just talking right now. So I'm just saying, how about we use our Twitter today and you go out and you figure out 9 teams that want to participate. You say, hey, who want to participate?
I got a question, Jim.
I pay for it. I don't really care. Well, I just want to help the city. So how do how can we? Go ahead.
What's the date? What's the date of the GMI, Jim?
The GMI is the July the 9th through the 12th.
July the 9th, right? The 9th through 12th.
Yeah.
Now, guess what, TJ?
Yes.
The week before that, Brian Jolivet is having an event, the Houston National Showcase. That could have been one of the events. And then I know it's a certain guy give a tournament every damn week. So maybe that tournament could be the third tournament. I'm just saying we got tournament. But you don't want tournaments.
People want to lead. I don't want a tournament.
Rashard Lewis just announced on the Rashard Lewis Academy, just announced on the feed, they will have a Friday night league, right? It's called a 17U713. That's the area code that encompasses the original area code for Houston. So they will already have the streaming for the college coaches that are permitted that they can watch. So that's one possibility. And at the same time, it still would take a unified effort for those teams that to agree to go in on it. That's a Friday night league, which once they get into the fall, Friday nights, only thing that's going to be in the way is football. And that's not until September for a lot of the high school kids. So it could work, but it take the unified effort.
But you already said, TJ, that you can't get the grown people in the room to talk.
Well, he was talking about the sneaker people. He said, forget about it.
No, I'm talking about the people here in Houston, Texas.
Anybody. I'm not just calling out no shoe team. It's all of us. We all play a role in this. Whether you got an elite team or mid-level team, we're just trying to say which programs. And we can write up what each program supposed to be able to do. How many community hours? How academic rate? We can put some stuff in place to hold all of us accountable.
I got something for you, TJ. Go back to your tweet again. Let's say you said if we get off this show and do a tweet, boy, we over time. But we go off this show and do a tweet. What does the tweet have to say?
Well, I just think at the end of the day, Jimmy Hicks has been a big founder in Houston, Texas.
Right.
Has Jimmy Hicks done things, have made people maybe pissed off? Yeah, when you have success, people going to get pissed off at you. Nothing you can do about it. As of right now, I don't think myself or somebody else can hold these events and it works. It has to come from somebody who's reputable, who has a name that is not biased. So that way, when no money is involved, we can give every dollar to charities and say that we're going to scholarship kids to go to HBCU schools if we want to have that impact. Where nobody can say somebody made this or made that. The winner. I don't know. I'm just throwing ideas out there. But it's just a matter of to know which programs will be on board. Jimmy is good enough to create a schedule and we can rent gyms out to do it. Are we getting rid of some teams for not being a part of it? Yeah, but it's just something to kind of get started. And I think that will revamp Houston, even if you did it without shoe company teams, I think if it's done well and these programs can get the scouting service talking about them, getting Jimmy, getting these networks, we can talk on the show. We can bring kids on these shows to have conversations and let them hear their voice in the youth. They don't have a choice but to come on board the following year. It's just a matter of us getting started and saying that these people are signing the contract that you at least been in it for 2 years. And if you are the last two teams, you have the opportunity to be replaced from a winner just in 16U. You know EYBL, Jimmy Hicks, better than anybody. You know the system. You know the structure. Just mimic it here. So, yeah, I'm putting you on Front Street a little bit, Jimmy, and trying to tell you,
I mean, that's.
But but you're giving him, Jimmy, what he's doing to me is paying homage that he can do it or somebody else can do it. It's going to take a guy like now. You got, if something like Herb just said, man, it won't happen because can't nobody monetize it.
Well, I done plenty of things that not been monetized in basketball.
I'm just saying what Herb said. I'm just saying.
So that I mean, that's what you're talking about. The other people hadn't done it because they hadn't been monetized. I got definite
proof. It ain't time for him to chill. It's time for him to keep his focus back on youth basketball, even though he got other stuff going on. We need him to get locked back into it because he's the person.
Who? Jimmy?
Jimmy Hicks.
Okay. Yeah, he's the person. And he know he is. But look at him. I'm just watching it. I know it.
He can keep his icebreaker. Right. His support. One event ain't good enough for us no more.
Well, what you do is get the details on the league. It's possible. It can definitely happen. You just got to, and the league has to get in. It has to be a league and a time span that gets in and gets out because it's 17. We're talking about 17 new players. And once you get too far into the fall, you're competing with their high schools that normally play every other weekend at some point. So it have to be a smart, conscious effort that could go in the month of August that doesn't get in the way of their scholastic, because we all know that's just the schools, even though the coaches can't coach them at the high school level in the fall ball, but they are in their gyms and they're working out. And then they have fall leagues for high schools as well. I know Bel Air's been doing one for years and certain other schools, but it could be done. And maybe at the GMI, when a lot of those guys, if you keep the candle lit and remind me and supply, it's your thoughts and reiterate your thoughts. Okay. It could be done, presented to those guys, to let them know, hey, what? And then at the same time, we got to have space because real estate, because a lot of schools you can't get into before schools start for gym to get rent their facility, their gyms. A lot of the facilities, weeknights are good because at certain times you might be able to get in some of these privately owned facilities. And it could possibly work. It's just a matter of checking around and find who would have time. Maybe what? Ken Gamble is on there, and Ken Gamble with the Rashard Lewis.
Yeah, I'm going to say something that I thought I would never say, and then I'm going to let you comment. And whatever I can do to help, I'm in too. Okay. So I ain't never said that. Whatever I need to do to help, I'm in too. Let's go.
Ken, I'm not sure if they are still on. I got that message, what they're doing, right? But same scenario we're talking about.
Who?
Right?
Who doing this?
The 713 league.
Okay. Yeah, Ken Gamble.
Okay.
Yeah.
The point I'm making is it's a league, but nobody really knows who's in it. So it's always hard to make a commitment. Now, the other thing is in Houston, how big is this place?
Third largest city in the country.
So one of the things people want is you got to move this stuff around. It got to be one on the north side, one on the south side, one in Katy, one somewhere. I don't want to drive out there every weekend for 4 weeks straight. That's an hour. When I come to the gym in MI3, that's an hour and a half. That's an hour 15 minutes for me to get there. If you put my game at 6 o'clock, I gotta really leave 3 hours early. So we also can do this, but think about moving it around within our city so people can travel within the city. So I'm on board.
I'm on board.
Tell Ken it's great, but it's just a matter of people want to know. That's what makes the shoe circus important, because you know the teams that's there. So it allows everybody to recruit. It allows everybody to put their teams together. Right now, besides the shoe company teams, everybody don't have a good selling pitch that we can sell. So some of these tournaments that you name, the parents ain't trying to do it. So it's going to force us to have to spend money to go somewhere else because they don't want to go to that tournament because they don't think the talent is there enough. So some tournaments are just tournaments, and some tournaments is to get people better. And we have to distinguish the difference between the two.
Well, I think
So
we can end on that, Jim.
So now that means now the call to action has been made from TJ Ford about and this helps with the intent of surging interest in a league with a lot of the notable non-sneaker teams. Now, however, the sneaker program teams, 17U that is, if you want to, you're welcome to play.
Yeah.
But guess what? And it made it clear, not going to beg you to be a part of something that you should be wanting to do anyway. So that's the thing, and that's part of the discuss, because no matter what people want to believe, if a sneaker program in a city loses to a non-sneaker program, they will not lose their sneaker deal. I don't know, so I don't understand what the fear is. I've never understood what the fear is as far as why you don't want to play them, because most sneaker programs, the vast majority were at one time a non-sneaker program. And I remember those days, don't forget where you come from, those days when you were begging to play one of those sneaker teams and they turned their eyes on you. It would be good for the city, and it would make it much easier in everybody. Everybody would be able, the audience would be judge and jury as far as understanding whenever a player is anointed and becomes the best. That league, he would have went through that gauntlet of a talent, and the questions will be erased as to who. And I'm going to twist. You might get two kids, might still be a battle, going into the high school season, but the rest of that stuff, it'll be widely erased. And lastly, that's a great idea. If entertaining the thought, guys, we're in Ray's Boom Boom Room right now, and we're just thinking about it. And if it can go down, you get four willing locations who are well prepared to open their doors, possibly to host it, and then on one night a week, and it could rotate. You would have, so I see on the YouTube feed, shout out to Alfio. He says Legacy is offering their doors for the Deep North Side location, and maybe Ken Gamble, that's the West Houston, and they could be the West Houston location. That means you would need, if that's the case, we need a South and an East, and you will have 4 locations in 4 weeks to pull off a league where teams will play twice, maybe on each night, once at the least. It's a thought. Now the thing is, it's there, and we can see the legs. It should be no excuse, because whatever night of the week that it would take place on, you're not playing no tournament. You're not out of town.
It can still happen on the weekend. You only need one day. You need one day, one court. Because if Hightower and Shadow Creek can sell out a stadium, we should be able to do that so easy in AAU basketball. Because those same people want to see these kids play in the summer, and they don't get an opportunity to. So it ain't like we need 2 to 3 gyms. You don't really need one gym. You can do all that in one day, whether it's a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or a Sunday. I think everybody knows dates that you cannot do nothing on. I'm not even talking about live period. You can leave that alone. But there's other weekends where people may not play, may go to this smaller tournament.
But we got to know. But you want to know in advance who the people are, who the teams are. That's what I'm getting. Okay.
I think Jimmy's the only person
could get that out.
That can make it happen where nobody's going to argue who's not in, who's not out. He can put that list out.
I got you. I like that.
He's been doing it the longest. So
and the GMI would be, over in Jolivet's event, you can look at the win-loss record of some of those guys there to help determine their presence. in that project, because the project wouldn't take place until at the earliest toward the end of July.
Okay.
You know, and going so at the earliest, you know, so that's a possibility. But then you're thinking about, like I said, if it's 8 teams or if it's 10 teams, remember it's a league, so it doesn't matter. And that means if it's 10 teams, that's 5 games on each setting. So, you know, and if it's a weekday, you're not starting a game in respect to people's work. Then again, there's 17 U's. 17 U's don't need mama getting off work or daddy at work, really don't apply to the 17 U. So you probably could start some games in the 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock hour, because 17 U's normally carpool with each other teammates, as opposed to 12 U's who ride to the gym with their parent or guardian. So it's possible, and I see where you're going, and it's a good thing. Now it depends on, you know, let's identifying the possibles, and which is simple to do.
I'm gonna leave with this one. Let's just say 17U. Maybe let's just say if 17U is even off the table, go down to 16U and we start there. That way, the following year it's already good. So we don't have to start at 17. We can start at 16 or 15. Maybe a little easier to do, honestly, than 17U. Just something to think about.
Let's go. Let's take it.
That's probably easiest for us to pull off 16 or 15U to 17. Everybody probably gonna be a little crazy over their 17U teams right now. But I'm really talking about this like when we got July, you got August, you're gonna have a little bit of September. You know the dates that they say the live period. Well, these kids still miss March, April, and May of AAU basketball. So if people don't think, and my plan, I'm thinking off the top of my head, you cannot tell me these kids are going to do the 2 live periods for AAU and then shift right over to high school basketball. To me, I think these kids are going to end up doing both. They're going to do the stuff with their high school, and they still going to play AAU basketball because they missed those 2 months.
Oh, yeah.
So how do we know that August, September, July, can we find 3 weekends to do it?
Well, guess what?
I know we talk about it over there. We could talk about it.
We talk about it off wax.
Yeah, I was just addressing the Herb. He said, remember, which was a good point, but I was just responding to him. Say, remember the teams of practice during the week, so summer coaches aren't going to want to do it because it affects their routine. But then my reply was, at that point of the year, your grassroots season is over with. So at that point, what are you practicing for? You're not practicing no more. They're getting at that point when you put this in place. This serves as in place of their practice. This is like a practice. Many of you grassroots guys have had a scrimmage during your practice. This is the play. This is take place of that. They're not practicing no more if you put that in place.
I tell y'all one thing. I got to get this show over to the TV station. So we got to let's finish this and end this so I can transfer this show over to the TV.
Yeah, hey TJ, man, we appreciate it. Great convo, and it was a good ride, man, and great blast to the class. Sorry for you guys who we did not get to your questions. We tried our best to do so. We got to a lot of them. TJ, good convo. We're gonna keep pushing, brother, in the community. And
tomorrow, Jimmy, tell them about tomorrow. Tell people.
Hey, they can hit me on my listen. If they got questions now, I got a Twitter and I got an Instagram. TJ,
I'm talking about the show tomorrow.
Share your social media handle with them.
Twitter, TJ _Ford, Instagram, TJ _Ford. Y'all got questions and we want to keep this dialogue. Ken, Herb, let's do it.
Speaking of tomorrow, we are expecting, make sure you spread the word for the Chop Shop. We're expecting our largest show ever in 4 years of the Chop Shop. 4 years, three different radio stations. We've never had a show as large as tomorrow's lineup. And this thing is really, it's a lot of work putting this thing together tomorrow. If we conquer tomorrow, then we truly can conquer anything with this show. So we really need your help as far as coming back and creating a great festive, a great indulged audience. Some of the guests will include politicians. It will include media personalities such as Roland Martin. It will include athletic directors of the HISD, the principal of Yates High School. We're going to have, just several other
former players.
high school stars.
Santana Dotson, former player, an NFL player.
Jawan McClellan, Damian Dotson, Joe Young. Jimmy Blakelock, George Stretch Campbell from the old school days. We're going to have a star-studded lineup. You guys make sure you spread the word in the Chop Shop. And however, we're going to be on time. Must be, because a lot of the dignitaries, they are stricken to their schedules. So make sure you spread the word about the Chop Shop on tomorrow. And also, don't forget to go over to RCS Sports today and get your dose of VIP news, as well as check out the GMI. There's only less than 5 slots available in each division right now. This thing will be filled up and closed out possibly by the end of next weekend. Lastly, I want to remind you guys, if you needed the memorial services for Jazzy Hartwell will be held on Thursday, tomorrow, up in DFW, which is, and I have it right here. It's going to be at the YMCA, the Moreland YMCA, where he worked at for years, on 907 Ledbetter Drive in Dallas. That's going to be Thursday at 7 o'clock in the evening. Will be the memorial celebration for Jazzy Hartwell. The actual funeral will take place on Friday morning, and I'll share that info with you guys on tomorrow at the top or the bottom of the show. Now remember, we'll see you guys on tomorrow. Make sure we come on back, spread the word. Thanks so much for tuning into the Chop Shop today. On behalf of Robert Hatter, Jim Hicks, it's time to yabba dabba do this thing. Let me say it the right way. It's time to slide on down Dino's back and yabba dabba do this thing. That's what 2 hours and 50-something minutes make you do. And we may set the record today. We set the record twice in the past 2 weeks. We might have set the record today. So there we go. So guys, see you.
Chop Shop.
Jim Hicks, Rob Hatter, you are now tuned in to the Chop Shop. I'm Retro, let's get it. We in the Chop Shop, we live in the Chop Shop. We talking sports talk, we live in the Chop Shop. We in the Chop Shop, I'm talking sports talk. So turn your dials up, it's live in the Chop Shop. We in the Chop Shop, we live in the Chop Shop. We talking sports talk, we live in the Chop Shop.